Greetings, programs. I am Diesel, and welcome to the first episode of our science fiction show, Space Jockeys. I am joined by one of my best friends and one of the coolest human beings I have had the pleasure to know, my man, Iron Oxide. We are here.
Diesel, how long has this been in the making, man?
Dude, we've been talking about this for it's got to be 6 months or more.
Right.
Maybe even
dude, and I think the whole thing stemmed from, yes, we like to bitch about the state of current day film, Disney, the monopolies, all of the bad, but then every now and then you just want to fucking embrace the good, and there is so much fucking great stuff out there, especially when it comes to the science fiction genre. Yes. There is nothing but good stuff out there if you're willing to look for it. Comic books, anime, movies, TV shows, and we couldn't have started at a better time after Alien Romulus, and we're about to get into that soon.
Dude, this is the thing. Like, for a longest time, man, I used to go to like libraries. A lot of times will have like a book sale, and they'll just give you can go in and pay like $5 and just get a paperback. And I used to go in there and pick up everything science fiction and dump it in there as I could. I wound up getting like, what is the Star Wars book that was the game? Was it Shadows of the Empire?
I
wound up getting that out of nowhere. I had no idea that even existed. And then Star Wars book. And then I read it and I was like, this is dope.
And that was a game that actually started bridging the canon from games and everything else into, well, at the time, not now, into the mainstream. You had so many great characters, and they did. I really think from the late 70s through the 90s was just sci-fi, like just renaissance. They owned everything.
It was great, man. And it was like, but it was still kind of niche. Good stuff was there, but it wasn't like so super mainstream. You had stuff of course, like, and I'm totally biased. You had Aliens come through where Sigourney Weaver was actually nominated for an Academy Award for a science fiction movie, and that was unheard of. Like, back then, nobody ever got nominated for anything, for sci-fi. But like, it was cool, and then it was, I don't know. I got into the big futuristic military science fiction thing, man, like for a long time, and got all kinds of books on that. And like, I'll have to. Mr. Grant Gregory now, he's like one of the only people I know that read this book, Armor. It reminds me of the actual Starship Troopers novel. It's similar. Like, the novel is so totally different from the movie. I mean, it's like completely, it's just a whole totally different thing. Like, and like, if we ever want to get Tiny to come in and rant about it, because like her family knew Robert Heinlein and everything, and
that would be great. And as this show progresses, I would love to have a lot of different guests on to talk about especially specific things, because there's some things that maybe I'm a little more keen on, like Final Fantasy, which I think would still kind of fall into that genre. Gundam, we could bring Dermy on, and you guys could nerd out, and I could gain some knowledge that way. But man, I am fucking beyond excited to finally.
I know, right? I'm just so, dude. I'm so glad that we just finally, I was just like, I thought about it and I was like, oh, we gotta start Sunday. Iron said he was going to go see the movie Saturday. And that's when I was
timing couldn't be, dude. It's actually a blessing that you got, the tuberculosis or whatever you had, throat cancer or something. I
got like bug carcassitis. From sweeping up in there and working out while I was sweeping and breathing in like all these ancient scorpion and spider and just bug particles.
Hey man, we were gonna start like 2 weeks ago, but then that happened. But this fucking falls in line perfectly because you saw the movie opening night. I just went and saw it last night with my wife. We're gonna get into that. And I don't have a warning banner. I didn't have time to make one. So everybody watching, this will be a full Alien Romulus spoiler discussion. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you care about it and care about seeing it, which we both highly recommend seeing, you may not want to tune in until about the halfway point. And We will let people know and throw out reminders throughout the show, so you can come and go as you please to make sure you're not getting anything run for you. But before we get started, let's say hi to the chat real quick and see who all we got joining on episode 1 of Space Jockeys. We got Jason fucking Sandberg, dude, who, you want to talk about science fiction? That book is like science fiction on acid.
I know, it's awesome.
I highly recommend it. Holy shit. And Jason, I can't wait to have you on Rogues Gallery again. I couldn't make it while you were on and due to a power outage. So you're welcome back anytime, my man. And everybody go check out Jason's book. We got another great channel member over at the Rogues Gallery, Blue Eyed Scorpio, one of our favorite groupies here. He's wearing his lipstick for tonight, folks. Yes, looking good, Blue Eyed Scorpio. Then who else we got? We got my lovely wife, Scream Queen Selena. We've got the Angry Vulcan himself. Let's see, who else do we got? Vagabondo, the Runaway. Dude, and if you had seen the movie, you could have joined. You still can join, and if you want to, and you're not worried about spoilers, we'll send you a link, my man.
Yeah, man, I wish I got up with him. He's only like... Actually. It'd been cool if we could have met up. We got to meet up sometime and check out a movie together. He's 2.5 hours away. And
dude, if you guys hook up IRL, that's gonna be fucking crazy. That whole state's gonna burn. You guys will take it over. We got the Red Strider, otherwise known as Ass Strider, over on Twitter due to reasons. New profile. Everybody go give him a follow. Another member of the Rogues Gallery. We got the legendary MSK. What is going on, man?
I don't think he's seen the movie yet.
He has seen it. He's doing a full spoiler discussion tomorrow as well. Hopefully we're both a part of that too, if he decides to send us the invite. So everybody go subscribe to MSK. Awesome, dude. And I think we are caught up. Not a bad start for a first episode, if I don't say so myself. Let's see. That's Strider again. Oh, what's he asking? Let me know when you discuss Star Wars. Well, if we're going to discuss Star Wars, it'll be old Star Wars and something good. We're not going to talk about anything negative on this show unless it's unavoidable. Yeah,
I brought up Shadows of the Empire, man. So like, if you've read that, I'll have to reread that sometime, man. Maybe that was a good book.
Full show disclosure: if you're looking for a show where a couple guys painfully watch The Acolyte and then review it episode by episode, so you don't have to, there are a lot of great channels to do that. I am subscribed to all of them. Go watch those. That's not what this is about. We're going to be talking about the good as much as possible unless it's unavoidable. We're not doing that shit. So if we talk about Star Wars, we're going to be talking about the original trilogy, or even the fucking the prequels, because you know what,
or some of the games,
they're aging like fine wine. Oh,
they are right.
The games, the novels, so much good stuff out there. All right, so here we go. Oh, we got a few more. We got Disinferno. Ripley 8 is basically a perfect hybrid of Xeno and human. That's what Wayland Yutani wanted to achieve in Romulus. That's interesting how many there are connections to Resurrection, both in prequels and now this. That is a good point, and that's something we're going to talk about.
You know, something else too, Fede Alvarez said that he didn't even make that connection until his son saw the movie and was like, oh, this reminds me of Resurrection. And then he was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. So he wasn't even consciously aware of the Xeno human hybrid thing, connection from Resurrection. I don't have a whole lot of good stuff to say about Resurrection myself, so
I heard most of that. Yeah, Resurrection was shit, and everything Resurrection did wrong in certain elements, I think Romulus did right. We're gonna get into that. I had to disconnect for just a second. My wife was trying to military crawl into the room to avoid camera because she give me a
I saw
coffee.
the dog. I saw her foot in the corner and one of the
I
dogs.
know. Like, what the she's like, I don't want to be on camera right now.
She was prone. She was in the prone position. Hey,
All
Wade.
right. Oh, Will
what is
Nation
up,
Gaming
dude?
Clips. What is going on? But man, this is something I am extremely excited about, and I have a great feeling about this show, and we're going to go ahead and get into it now. Again, I do not have a warning little sign here for spoilers.
I'll keep voice.
You can tell by the
I'll post it
description.
in the chat.
Yep. This will be complete spoiler discussion. So if you have not seen the movie, do not feel bad for tuning out of the first episode. We're just here to have fun. We're both hobbyists. We do this for the love of shit, you know, and nothing else, and just to have a good time and talk to awesome people along the way. All right. So how should we start this, man? We'll start by saying there were really only 2 Alien movies. We want to consider Alien and Aliens, and everything after that. I mean, is there anything that you've really enjoyed post Aliens?
I didn't hate Prometheus like everyone else did. I didn't hate it. A lot of people hated it, but it was like, it kind of, to me, just felt like it'd been so long. I think that was the first thing since those Alien versus Predator movies, which were just, oh my goodness. I actually saw that second one in the movie theater with my brother. We were like, oh my God. We come a long way since then. But like I saw Prometheus. That was another one. My brother and I have been watching. I took him when he was like 12 years old. He came and hung out with me, and we watched like all 4 Alien films together. And he's like, we played the games and everything like that. But I didn't hate Prometheus because it was like, I can see a whole lot of people that hate it. I completely understand why they do, man.
What I'll give, Prometheus was the one with the guy who plays Magneto. His name is right? Yeah, he's a good actor.
Michael Fassbender.
Michael Fassbender, and he did a great job as playing an emotionless, synth.
Well, he was he had emotions. He was like, he had been, I think the deal behind that was Wayland like abused the dude so much that he just was like, humanity is trash, man. And
he was kind of at that time, because AI was just starting to gain attention in the mainstream and like what that could become. So that was kind of a critique on that, him becoming sentient and all of that. My biggest thing, I didn't hate it. I'm completely indifferent because I was so fucking bored. I fell asleep. I've fallen asleep every time I've watched that fucking movie. Visually, it is beautiful. Acted great. It
sounds kind of like me and Blade Runner with the music too. I understand that, man.
Dude, and you know what? I can respect what you say about Blade Runner because I love that fucking movie, but it relaxes me to the point of just infantile sleep. Like I sleep like I'm in the womb, dude. I am just out.
That synth music comes on.
That is like 2001 Space Odyssey, where I'm just like, I put that in. All right, I'm gonna really fucking hammer down and analyze all of the great, cinematic achievements this movie.
See, Edward Norton in Fight Club should have just thrown in Blade Runner in the background. He just fell asleep right there at the beginning, and the movie would have ended right there. But like, it wasn't. I liked it, but it was kind of like, I almost thought of it in the Alien universe, but not really an Alien movie.
Now I got to ask you, man, and I do this whenever, because I've been guilty of it too. When there's something I really, really fucking love, like it's a genre or a character, something that I'm just so invested in, that I get a little bit of that, the bias where I'm willing to accept even how bad it is. Do you think that may be the case, being you're probably the most hardcore Alien fan I've met? Do you think maybe you're just a little
with Prometheus? I'm sure it is
on Prometheus.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is.
Well, it's aliens, so
yeah, I'm sure it is, man. When I saw that, I was like, oh, it's like the derelict, and at the time I was, man, taking away the mystery of the space jockey to me is a big mistake, because when you see that thing in Alien, the whole thing behind it was like somebody made a post today that said, dude, that's the scariest thing in Alien, not the xenomorph, but the space jockey. What the hell is that? You just see it and you're just like, what is that? And then
all right, Great Papon. Prometheus was amazing. Such an artistic exploration of creation and life. The whole David experiencing feelings arc is amazing. I wish we got a trilogy. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it was fucking boring. I didn't hate it. I just, I
thought it was, I tell you what, though, I thought it was really, really messed up.
Full spoilers, Matt. Full spoilers.
Yeah.
Hail, Matt Barr.
Full spoilers. I'll put another post in the chat, man. We need to remember to do that.
Now, what I really want to touch on is the biggest piece of shit, in my opinion, which was Alien Resurrection.
Oh my God, that movie's an abortion of a movie. Oh God, so awful.
There are so many similarities between that and the film we're about to talk about. One done completely wrong, the other, in my opinion, done very, very well. Dude, you know where I'm getting at, that third act.
Yeah, there's so much in Alien Resurrection, but the way that dude shot that movie, it's like all these ugly close-ups on people's faces and everything. It's just, everything's like bleh. And then in my opinion, everything after Aliens didn't feel like a cohesive Alien 3 was a mess, but the assembly cut is okay. I think Alien 3 would have been all right had Ripley not even been in there, and you just had that prison planet with the alien. You could have came up with a way for the alien to show up there, but not have Ripley there. But we got to have Ripley, like we can't have Terminator without Arnold Schwarzenegger, can't have aliens without Ripley. That was their thinking back then. And looking back at it now, and then killing off Hicks and Newt was just like, what are you doing? It was just that was awful, and that
was unforgivable. Killing Hicks and Newt after everything that they went through,
right? And then having Ripley like not even be barely remorseful about it at all. And then all
she's
of a sudden,
now
I'm accepting this whole new thing with all these. Michael Biehn was
Ripley finding out her daughter in Aliens died as an old lady in a fucking earthquake as a grandma, that she never even got to see her experience. And then having Newt kind of fill that void in her life and her take that maternal instinct take over so that is her Newt. I mean, she really could give a shit about anyone else other than Newt in that movie.
She kept Newt right with her the entire time, man. And was like, and then you know what? James Cameron hated that for Alien 3. Then he turned around and did the exact same thing that he said that he hated for like that Terminator movie, Terminator Dark Fate or whatever it is.
Dark Fate. Yeah. Well, granted, all he did, he executive produced, so which means he signed his name off on it and collected a paycheck. That was it.
Well, he was still
James Cameron's a complete fucking sellout anyway.
He's still aware that they killed
him, but he really didn't have anything to do with the creative process in that movie.
But he was aware that they killed John Connor. It was just like, all right, sure.
Yeah, within seconds. Now let's get into fucking Romulus. We saw it last night. It was basically you told me like, all right, we're good to go with the show. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go see it. And me and the wife went and saw it. I didn't have the highest of expectations as far as story-wise based on the trailer. I thought, and I still think, they gave way too much away.
Yes, that's what
three of the major deaths when there's only a cast of 5 or 6, and they showed
which was cool because they actually have personalities and stuff like that. They're not just a group of people. Like in Alien 3, everybody on that prison planet, they're all the same. They're all interchangeable. They're all a bunch of shit.
Yeah, they're kind of they're NPCs where Ripley is the main character. This movie, while we had Which, while I don't agree with most of Neurotic's critique, and I fucking love Neurotic, but I will say when I don't agree with him, I do not agree with his take for the most part of this movie. What does he call her? Fake Ripley, something
Rip-off Lee. Yeah,
which is funny. And I do see it because she is definitely a derivative character. That's undeniable. Yeah. She is a derivative of Ripley, a younger ripoff of Ripley. But I think all of the characters did well, and you do really connect with them pretty much right from the start. What do you think from the beginning, just getting into it?
Dude, that opening sequence is one of the I've been watching Mr. H reviews for forever, and he had like a couple of things, maybe some spoilerish kind of stuff and hints of this, but the fact that they went out there, it just added so much to the lore. That whole opening, I could have watched an entire movie, like what he was saying. I could have watched an entire movie based on them going out there because they had tracking mechanisms in place and finding the big chap from the first movie, and that whole sequence of what happened in that. I could watch the whole movie of what happened in that station.
Yeah,
and everybody in that, but that whole sequence with the computers and the sound, and then it going out there and going through the wreckage, and then finding that, and they found that because they had tracking. See, and that adds the fact that God, Wayland Johnny is such a horrible piece of shit company. They knew where Ripley was the entire time and just left her out there to die. They didn't give a shit. They just wanted to find the alien, and find it. They did. They went out there, had that probe with the mother computer going out to where they located that wreck site in the general area, and then found the big chap out there, man, and brought that sequence. Was just, I was like,
let's talk about that opening sequence, because like I said, I sat there and I was like, okay,
did that make sense?
It's a modern,
I'd heard some of
modern alien movie. So my expectations were about mid at best. The trailers looked good, but they gave too much away. And young cast, a lot of the tropes I'd seen, but the music, that
score is guy is amazing.
On point with the original too. That fucking sold it right away. And then you get into the aesthetics, the set design, everything was on point. Like the attention to detail to the original movies was so fucking good.
The miniatures for the spaceships were those were real. That's real tangible objects, and that's what they looked effects, so baby. Good.
That's why it looked real, because it was real. That makes such a big difference, man. And everything fucking sold right from the beginning. It took you into that where it's the future, but trapped in late 70s, early 80s, from the way everyone was dressed to the way they talked, the way the bikini calendar in the fucking bathroom was retro as fuck. It was
I didn't even I missed some of that stuff.
Yeah, when
I was sitting there with my brother
when chick was throwing up. My boob detector is always on high alert, so I'm like, nice. It's fucking calendar. And it was like an old, like she had the big old fucking hair. It was an 80s looking chick. It's like that kind of attention to detail, along with the music. They didn't modernize anything. The dude with the headband, just the fucking rip off Lee's shoes. Everything looked like they could have coincided with the original movies very well. Some people are going to disagree with that and say, pick apart what I'm saying, and that's fine. Me just looking at it face value, it fucking sold. It had that, it was that continuity that we wanted. That they didn't even have an Alien 3.
No, they didn't. That
or Resurrection.
It puts you in that universe that, like, if you're an Alien fan and love it, I'm like, dude, there might be something wrong with me, because when they're just like, what fictional universe would you want to live in? And I've said it several times, like, I kind of want to live in the Alien universe. Don't ask me why. It's like deadly and dirty, but I love it for some reason. But this movie,
like somehow technology advanced from like the late 70s, but didn't catch up
Yeah.
with modern time. That
Yeah, and
DOS
nobody
dial-
cleaned, and nobody's
every-
cleaned anything either,
Oh,
man.
man.
Everything is dirty.
Yeah, and that's how you would really think like that futuristic look. It's still to this day, it still works, you know.
and, and and that is like that.
It's so dystopian.
It puts you this movie put you in that universe. You feel it when you're in there. If you're an Alien fan and you love that universe, man, that movie puts you in there. And the composer put out a tweet, like I might have to pull it up later, and he was like, I tried to honor like James Horner, Jerry Goldsmith, and I'm trying to think the guy from Alien 3 also. Like he mixed that stuff together, and it just like, and you can see when they have references to the other movies, the music, there'll be a few notes from that music from that movie.
Diesel, read Walter's chat real quick.
Just say it, Diesel. You want to have a little chest xenomorph, baby. That's why you want to be in that universe. No, I want to get a pulse rifle and fight those things, man. I want to be one of the Marines. Give me a pulse rifle or a smart gun,
dude.
And let me jump in there.
But that's the thing, man. From the first few minutes, like you were saying, where they're loading the when they capture
the big chap,
the fossil and everything, it really sucks you in. Then we get introduced to the characters. I thought that was a really great opening scene, and I detected a hint of anti-communism throughout the
and like man,
anti-corporate capitalism, which is akin to communism.
And you get a feel for that's like a fully functioning colony, kind of like what would happen if Hadley's Hope had gone on for a while, because there were 2,000, almost 3,000 people in this colony, and you see. She goes in, she wants to get off this colony. The girl Rain, she's like one of the main characters. And then her brother, who's the synthetic Andy, who that dude stole the freaking show. I'm not going to lie.
I want to get into a full thing on Andy. Let's start with just Rain waking up in the room.
Yeah. I didn't realize it at first. Like she's dreaming of the sunshine, and then she wakes up. There's things I did not catch at first. Like it shows population. Hours of sunlight, 0. They have no daylight there. They do not see the sun. It's constant night on this. It's a mining colony, and it's just everything is just kind of like these people that live on this colony are essentially slaves to the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. She wants to get off this colony and transfer to this other place, this other system. And she has put in so many hours. I believe it's like 12,000 hours. And she goes to the colony. I forget what it's like. HR for the colony. It's like the colony control.
It's basically a big mining colony that from what we gather from the movie, she was born into it. And she's pretty much from what I understand, what it seems like, she's having to pay off her parents' debt.
Yeah,
who are both deceased because of all the
colony killed them.
Disease, everything that happens. When it starts off, it's wake up, it's time to go to work, everybody. By the way, if you're feeling feverish, vomiting, diarrhea, this or that, please report to the medical base. So that this isn't the greatest of living conditions for anybody here.
And when you look at it, it's like a hellish lifestyle, man. And it just shows you what pieces of shit Weyland-Yutani are. She goes to this office and she has her hours. Like I think it's something like 12,000 hours. She says, listen, I put in my required hours. And the woman goes instantly on the computer, puts in doubles her required hours from 12,000 to 24,000. No, we need you. We've had people die and stuff, so we need you to continue to work. So basically another 5 or 6 years, and it's like you can see this. She's never going to get off this colony. They're going to keep adding stuff to her until she dies, just like her parents did.
Yeah, just kind of like there's always the people in charge and the ones in power with the money can always add different restrictions or stipulations to your contract. Oh, due to lack of workers, we've extended the time needed to fulfill your contract by, let's say 9 fucking years.
We've altered the deal. Pray we don't alter it any further, but we will.
Yeah. So like basically, and before anybody says, oh, that sounds like some commie talk. No, I'm talking about fucking banks, that there's a difference. Okay. So in major corporations and everything, and that they really
it will change your interest rate so that you'll never get ahead on your mortgage or something, man.
Exactly. Oh, motherfucker. I'm trying to share an image if I can, just of the movie. Fuck it. Here, I'll do it like this. But we go out there and then she goes to the mess hall. She's eating with her brother, and you're automatically like, okay, this guy's like at least 15 years older than her, and he's a black guy, so it's like, what's going on? Different family dynamic. Maybe, my brain was telling me maybe it was their stepbrother and sister at first. He definitely seemed special needs. He was getting picked on. And then within a few minutes is when, after he's getting bullied outside and she runs out to help him, you see that he's bleeding white and she resets him and he's a synth.
Dude,
that took me off guard, because I'm like, why is a synth acting autistic?
And man, I felt for that poor dude, man. I was sitting there just like, my heart was breaking for this guy, man. That guy is just such an amazing.
Let's just go into Andy.
Yeah.
Andy stole the fucking movie. Because Andy was two characters at once, but at the same time, only one. And that is a hard thing to do as an actor.
Oh, man.
Play completely different, interesting roles, and for different reasons, but also make them act and feel like the same character throughout. So while he was different, he was the same. And, if you overplay that, and you're going way too far in one direction and way too far the other, then kind of like a good example is Lawnmower Man. If you've seen the original Lawnmower Man, where he goes from, simple Jack to fucking evil Einstein. Great actor, campy movie. It worked for the movie, but it didn't feel like the same character. This guy did it really well. I think this actor, this was his Eddie from Stranger Things breakout.
Yeah, that guy is just
fucking good.
He was so good, man. He's just, I just felt for him and everybody messing with him. And then the guy's just, he was just like, and I don't know.
Let's talk about the little Cockney or Irishy.
The prick that was just,
they made him racist without making him racist, because he didn't hate, he didn't hate him because he's black. He hated him because he was a synth.
He was a synthetic.
And he had a reason to.
Yeah, he did. Reason to, man, but like, still,
what were you feeling? The asshole character. What were
I hated that guy.
I fucking loved him.
It was just like, when he was messing with him, I was just like, you piece of shit, why are you fucking with him? And then you hear, what's so good about that is, like, there's a reason. He's not just, hey, I'm an asshole just for no reason because that's my personality. It's no, his what happened in the colony, like, his mother was in the mine, and the synthetic working there
made the call,
locked 3 people in there to save like 10. There's like, and kill
to save like 30,000. Like, they could either close the mine, trapping 3 people to die, or try to have rescue effects that could cost the life of thousands.
Oh, I thought it was like, or to save the lives of 13 or something like that. It was to save 13. Right. I think that's how they were able, because like, they're not supposed to be able to kill.
More. Right.
But they can save. They can sacrifice 3 to save, like, I think they said 13. I might be wrong. Yeah. Might be remembering it wrong. But yeah, and he's just, the whole time, this guy is just giving Andy shit, just fucking with him over and over again. Yeah, and then after she realizes, they go to the colony office. She's never getting off this. Then she gets a call from Tyler, that's the other guy's name. He said, "Come meet me over at my trailer." And
yeah,
so,
which I will say, like right after, and this is kind of a little bit of a failure in the plot, but I mean, they had to keep the movie moving fast. She thinks she fulfills her contracts, goes to cash it out. The little DMV bitch behind the counter tells her, "Oh nope, contract has changed." Turns away the open sign to close sign while staring her in the face. And then magically at this point, she gets the call from her friend Tyler, and they all go and they hatch the scheme to escape their contract with.
Yeah, wow. Basically, what had happened was in the past few hours, they detected a signal from what they thought was a derelict Weyland-Yutani ship that just came in orbit over the planet that they're on. I don't think they ever say the name of the planet that they're on, but the colony is called Jackson Star Colony. It is cool to see because you see the atmosphere processor and then the little bar sign, like the nod to like aliens and everything like that, and the look of the colony with everybody going around, and they had the equipment, everything, because that was a full set, and you could tell that wasn't CG. That was a bunch of people and equipment going around on a full set. It looked awesome, but it also looked hellish and just dirty and filthy, and just it was just, you can see what these people's lives were, man. But they find out that there's this ship up there that is basically abandoned, derelict ship that just came into orbit on their planet, and they have 36 hours before the gravity is going to pull it into the planet's rings and essentially destroy it. So they need Andy, who is a Weyland-Yutani synthetic, to be able, because he can access the mother computer, and he can get on this ship, and they're going to because the system they want to go to is 9 years from where they are, and they don't have cryo tubes. They've got a transport that could get them there, but they need cryo tubes to take them from Jackson Star Colony and the planet that they're on.
Yeah, because otherwise they would starve to death, and the ship needs to conserve resources, so shut off oxygen, everything else to just travel. So they have to be, in a frozen state, in that cryo state to get there.
They need their plan is to break into this derelict ship that they have 36 hours to get to. It just happens to show up, and they go to break in there, steal cryopods, and use Andy to get in there, since he can access the mother computer, since he's a Weyland-Yutani synthetic. And so they steal the pods and then go to this system and escape this colony, because none of them, it's basically they're gonna work there to death. So Rain agrees, and they go to it. What's really cool is, like, you see that with Andy's character, how he's programmed with one primary directive to do what's best for Rain, his sister. His dad found him. He's a salvage synthetic that was found in like a scrapyard. That's why he has like some issues because he was essentially basically a throwaway that Rain's father like salvaged and got working, and basically had him. He's her protector, and sort of they kind of protect each other since her father died. So he agrees to do it, and so they get in the what is it, the Corbellion 4? I'll have to look for the name of it. The ship, the detail. See, it's a miniature, and Fede Alvarez posted pictures on X with the pictures of the miniature and the ship. Man, it looks amazing. And when they lift, they all get together. Let's see, it's Rain, Andy, Tyler's sister,
and Tyler's cousin, and Tyler's cousin's girlfriend, the one that everybody kind of noticed,
the Asian pilot.
Asian with the bald head.
Yeah.
And by the way, she was fine. She wasn't really a massive character.
She was fine. Like you said, though, I think they gave a little bit too much away in the trailer.
They did. The trailer did not do this film any favors, because
they gave a little bit too much away. Yeah.
Why to share even one death in that kind of movie is too many.
Yeah, and I think they put a lot of that in there because the Alien franchise has been dead since Covenant. Fede Alvarez has succeeded in resurrecting and putting putting the defibrillator on this franchise and bringing it back using practical effects. I think that's why they shared so much of this movie, so people would get word out.
Right. And so let's go back to Andy, because I really think he was the heart and soul of the movie.
Yeah,
I liked the ripoff Lee. I thought she was great too. I thought
she was fine too, man. I thought like all these characters have like they have some personality. That's why when you have a smaller cast, you can focus on different characters. They were each one of them was a different, distinct character. They weren't just a bunch of NPCs.
For such a fast-paced movie, to not have a lot of time to develop these characters, it did give you just enough to make you care about each one. I didn't really want to see any of them die, with the exception of the Asian girl, which we already knew was going to happen anyway, because we see the chest burster scene in the fucking trailer. The asshole, the cousin, I was really rooting that he might be the one helping her and Andy up until the end. I knew he was going to bite it, but I wanted to see him get that little bit of a redemption arc.
Yeah, a little bit of a redemption in there. But,
maybe be the one to try to turn Andy back into himself as opposed to the Andy he had become. Now,
I also like I could understand, maybe it's hanging out from Jack Tar Lad for so long. I had no problem understanding anybody's accent in this movie whatsoever.
Either. I had no problem. The Irish kid, it was fine. In fact, that's why I liked him so much, was that thick, almost, he was a little hard
like a Cockney accent, I think.
Charm. Yeah, that I'm not sure. Jack can correct.
Jack would tell us.
I think he was just harsh Irish. Maybe he was Cockney. I'd have to watch it again to be 100% sure.
Well, I'd have to ask Jack to be 100% sure. It's just like,
and Emily, by the way, this is the master of music trivia. She will smoke any of your asses any day of the week.
Awesome.
I dare you to try on Mr. Burger's channel. Now, let's see, Walter, when the Asian girl says, "Don't let me die," I felt so bad. I did too. And that was terrible. She was, but at the same time, even evil Andy, when he said, "We can't let her go," if they would have just listened to him and just ended her right there, knowing that she had that, he laid it all out for her. It's implanting an embryo that's going to evolve very quickly.
When we got they get on their ship, the Corbellion or 4 or whatever. I may have to pull up the pictures of the miniatures Fede Alvarez shared on X, and the liftoff and everything pulling up from the atmosphere processor to where they could finally see their sun. And it was, man, it looked so good. And then they see the ship, which they look at it and they're like, that's not a ship. It's like that's an outpost, because you see it. It's this huge, like a space station that's in decaying orbit. And so they match velocities, pull up to it. They get Andy to open it up and crawl through a tunnel. Then you see someone like the member Barry's nods and everything when he's crawling. I didn't even realize some of the stuff until it was pointed out to me. Now, the opening hatch on that ship was refitted. It was the same airlock as the Sulaco had when Ripley was dumping the Queen alien out in Aliens. It was that same handle. Like, yeah, Fede Alvarez showed that. Anybody recognize this? And everybody's like, Ripley with the airlock. And they go in there. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together about him crawling through the through that like tunnel to get into the ship. And like, I was like, I ain't gonna lie. As soon as they got to the ship, I started getting tense, because I'm like, man, there's some bad stuff's about to happen. My brother and I were both I was like bent over, like just like I know some shit's about to go down. But they get into this. Well, first they find out it's deep cold, the air is down, and there's no gravity. So they go. Andy goes in, opens up the airlock. They come in. Then they have apparently when the gravity fails, they have to have a gravity purge when the gravity's turned off. Otherwise, it would I think it would build up. And I think this is like a kind of a science fiction thing. That's almost kind of like science fact in science fiction movies, where you have to have a purge for some of these systems, or else the pressure will build up and they'll explode. So they have a gravity purge, and the gravity turns on for a few seconds and they crash down, and then they come in and start rebooting some of the systems because they still have some power. They turn on the air and the gravity.
And now the reason they're going, they have to get those. I don't know if we already touched on this.
Cryo
they have
pods,
to get the cryo chambers so that they can, so they can actually get the fuck out of there.
Yeah. So they find the cryo pods. They get them out. They find out though, after they get them, that they don't have enough. I think it's coolant to last for the 9-year trip. So they have to go deeper into the station to try to find some coolant, because it's a huge station. So they have to go in there to try to look and see some of the equipment in there. Tyler's like, oh, there's something in here that's going to have some coolant that we can use for that trip. So they go in there, and at one point they stumble upon half of a synthetic, which looks half torn apart, half melted, basically laying on the floor.
Before that, let's talk about that scene when the cousin is sitting there fucking with Andy over and over.
And
Andy
over and over.
Fucking grabs
him.
And you think, oh shit, what just happened? He's stopping him from falling down a hole that will be later revealed to be a hole caused by the xenomorph acid blood.
Yeah.
Right next to the
hole. He saves him. Is right next to that hole is the half the synthetic, but
Andy's so fucking
dude. He would have when he grabbed him. You think, oh man, he's doing that. No, he just saved the dude who was being a complete and total ass to him. He just saved him from falling several stories and dying pretty awful death.
And real quick, Walter, it's taboo to bring up anything relating to the films, but I felt evil Andy felt like a perfect mix of the best qualities of the character David from Prometheus / Alien Covenant. Actually, I think he did better. I think that
I do.
You could definitely tell this actor did his research, and he definitely watched those movies, and that he was kind of emulating some of that. But he put his own thing in there, and
when we get to that
this
point,
kid is just so fucking good. It's crazy
he's
how good he was.
When we get to that point, I can talk about where does it take place? That is 20 years
That's
after
a great
Alien.
question.
20 years after Alien. I believe Alien was in. Oh God, let me find out. I'm gonna find the exact date because I don't want to misquote.
I was gonna ask you that exact same question, so I'm glad Blue Eyed Scorpio brought it up. Because from my guessing when I was watching it was between Alien and Aliens, but not after Aliens. So somewhere in between. So this would be like Alien 2.5. If you're going to watch it in order, I would think this would be Alien, this
21, 22, and this movie takes place in 2142, 20 years after the events of Alien.
Okay, and then Aliens is after this.
Yeah, Aliens is 2183.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that we're about on the same page, man. It's a good thing we got fucking Diesel here, the aficionado of all thing Alien.
I'm not. I pale in comparison to some people.
Oh, to like Mr. H.
Mr. H, man, that guy.
Dude, that motherfucker is
hardcore. I'm telling you, dude. That dude is.
I haven't seen his review of this yet, and I'm interested to see his take. I have a feeling it's going to be a little more on the negative side.
No, he has been talking about this movie for months and months and months now. Anytime there's any kind of stuff behind the scenes, that's why I've kept up with all of the stuff, all the practical effects, all the things behind the scene, and I can't help it. I got excited for this movie months ago. I was just like, when I found out they're using practical effects and got all the people that were still alive that worked on Aliens with the practical effects and everything, and I was just like,
yeah, did you ever watch that thing that little mini documentary about the
Aliens expanded?
Aliens? Yeah, how it shows how they literally just took like stilts and trash bags to make what
I've seen that. That's it. The Queen.
The
James
original
Cameron and them, they took garbage bags and rods to show how it could be done. And they went out
Yeah,
in the
that's
parking lot and
obviously
made
not what we saw, but that was them trying to sell what they were going to do.
Yeah, they were conceptualized, and James Cameron was like, all right, look, this is how we do it. So they went out in the parking lot with trash bags and poles and made the trash bag Alien Queen and showed how they could use rod puppets and make this thing. It was crazy.
What up, Bat Sauce? Beep, motherfucker. All right. Now, so we've talked about how that's basically the first act. So we get to where we left off is Andy has been uploaded with
wait, not yet. Oh, no, what happens is he just saved Tyler's cousin, the guy who's a jerk, from falling to his death through that giant acid hole. So basically they load the cryopods into the little hauler that they have, the Corbellion 4.
Now I want to stop you right there because this is something that bugged the shit out of me. We do not see how they loaded them. We just see first thing they go into where the cryopods are stored. They notice that they don't have enough coolant for the time they need to travel. So they need to go look for coolant while they're stuck in this room. It cuts to a scene where you see them being loaded onto the ship, but we don't know what. So I think there must be a cut scene there.
They're talking about what they talk about. And you kind of have to be a slight fan to pick up on this. They're talking about, okay, we're launching the EEV, the Emergency Escape Vehicle. And in Alien 3, the EEV is what launches out of the Sulaco that has Hicks, Ripley, Newt, and parts of Bishop in there. They're talking about the EEV. So they're using the station's EEV, where those cryopods are. It's like a contained emergency escape vehicle. So they launched that, which has like a launch mechanism in case some shit goes down. You're able to press a few buttons and that thing can launch with the cryopod. So they launched, they call what's her name? I can't remember her name. Navarro, that's the pilot. And they call her and tell her we're at airlock 5B. So she pulls the ship up there. They open the door, the EEV launches, and she matches speed because she's a pretty good pilot, and just that initial pushing that EEV out, she launches
it right in.
Slides it right in. You even see the thrusters push off a little bit just to sort of match speed, so it won't be coming in too fast.
And speaking of sliding it in, we did skip the part where Andy did in fact lose his virginity to Mother when he inserted his finger and banged the lock. So I apologize for skipping that part.
I forgot about that too. Yeah, good point, man. But after
thanks for bringing that up, Walter.
they have like a little device that has temperature in it. It's kind of like almost like it's the motion tracker essentially from Alien, and it makes the same type noise. And it's this little device, and it's got where they can check temperature, and they're using it to find where coolant would be in the station. I guess by looking at temperature and whatever readings that are on that thing, they're able to. They go to one of these labs, and then it's like, oh, there's probably coolant in here. And you go in, you pass all kinds of stuff that's in that lab, and they show stuff about Romulus and Remus, and it's like the whole story behind that is pretty messed up. They're like about the war, and the voice of the mother computer. Welcome to the Renaissance Space Station.
Oh, that just set it off too. You're like, fuck.
Oh man,
and
you hear that voice.
If anybody's played one of the most underrated survival horror games ever fucking made, fucking Alien, what's it called? Alien Isolation. Thank you.
That's greatest. That's one of the greatest pieces. That's one of my favorite games ever. It's so good.
I am gonna start streaming that. Probably tonight, dude. So if you want to hang out while I start playing, you're more than welcome to, and anybody else wants to join.
Oh, dude, I might have to do that. That's
that fucking game.
That game, man. That game is, dude. Man, I hung out in locker so long. I was like gonna have to have my mail forwarded there, dude. I was like, oh my god. If you have your microphone on too, it can hear you. That alien AI can hear you if you have your microphone on while you're playing that game.
Oh,
and then it hears you. You're like, damn, oh, thank God. And then the alien hears you, and it's like, comes to get you. And Fede Alvarez played that game big time, and there's so much stuff from that game in this movie. like the hallways look like the medical center, those the save stations.
Well,
emergency.
every single set designed in this movie was fucking stunning.
Oh yeah.
If you hate everything about this movie's story, the plot, you think anything else, which I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the problems with that. I mean, it wouldn't be fair not to bring up some of the negative, but visually, this movie is just amazing. Knocks it out. Now, and I did bring up, we watched FNT. I don't know if you did, and they were talking about it, and they brought up a lot of things I agreed with, but some of I didn't. One thing Chris Gore brought up is how, like just ugly and they're afraid to bring in anything, remotely, sexually appealing in the movie. I didn't think so, but granted, there's, you got the Ripley and Alien 1. That's about as hot as it gets. Aliens, you've got the muscly chick. She was kind of hot.
Vasquez, Jeanette Goldstein.
Yeah.
Who
back in the day, who wouldn't let her squash your head like a fucking watermelon between her legs? If go, who wouldn't?
And Jeanette Goldstein, totally, who was a very pale, freckled lady, totally passed for a Hispanic woman in that. In that,
she's not Hispanic. What the fuck?
No,
I thought she
Hispanic.
was.
Oh, dude, I'll have to show you. It's crazy.
No, back in her day, man, she was smoking. But I mean, granted, this is a much younger cast, so the main character, she's cute, and they have her running around at the end, basically another member berries to Ripley at the end of Aliens and
and Chris Gore talking about how hot Sigourney Weaver was in Alien, and I'm just like,
she was the hottest Sigourney Weaver ever was in Galaxy Quest, though.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, man. Like, let me tell you something. Go back and watch Alien and watch them nasty 1979 panties. Dude,
I know, right?
She had I don't know what the thing was. It was, I knocked my headphones out. It was like some reason the back of her butt, it was like a strip of like white tape. That's what those panties look like. And let me tell you something. I don't know what was going on back then, but she was taking those pills, those no-acetol pills, because it was just like, those were that's the most unflattering pair of underwear I've ever seen.
Dude, in the 70s, man, what guys considered sexy in the 70s is kind of beyond me. Like diaper panties, banana tits, bush out to the fucking moon. What is going on?
I think it was like a result of all the drugs that people were doing back in the day, or something. Dude, what's going on?
All that cocaine.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was still hot in that.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie didn't drown out like a lot of modern things do.
No, it didn't.
At all.
It didn't.
They all look like they belonged in the same universe that Sigourney Weaver shares with them.
Yeah, they look like they look like kids on that colony, which was exactly what they're supposed to be. The whole concept of this was Fede Alvarez watched Aliens, and he was wondering what kids growing up on that colony, what life would be like for them. And that was his whole pitch for making the movie. That was where the story originated. He thought about, what about these kids that had to grow up there? In the deleted scene in Aliens where the kids are running around like in that on the station, is like, what happens when they grow up? What do they, and basically it's like this hellish mining colony life and everything.
What up, animation overload?
What's up, dude?
And that was another critique that I think a lot of people, and I can understand this, a lot of people are burnt out on the zoomers and the young cast and everything. But I mean, when it works, and it worked for this.
Yeah,
and I thought I connected with the characters. I was rooting for them,
especially when you find out. See, this is why I had so much hope for this movie, is because like when I found out everybody, like the story that he had, like what happened if these kids that grew up on this colony, like in Aliens, a fully functioning colony, what would happen to them when they got older, and what would their life be like? That's how this starts. And that's what he's thinking about. And then he's all his practical effects and all this other stuff. And I'm like, this movie's going to be good. I'm already. Oh yeah, you're right about
you are
that.
100%. This movie did not shy away from the Geiger vagina exploitation.
They sure did. Yeah,
They leaned into it hard.
Yeah,
My
Giger,
God.
yeah,
There were cocks and cunts all over this fucking movie.
I know,
just
right?
slimy and disgusting in the most unsexy way possible. Which it was Geiger's fucking forte. That's what he did. Everything looked like a penis or a vagina in its grossest, most monstrous representation.
Yeah, with all
look at his design for the Batmobile on Batman Forever. It's just a big cock with like veins and scales and shit.
Yeah, man, that dude was only slightly disturbed. You look at those images and you're just like, oh my God. And like whenever they would do interviews with a guy, he's like in this room, he's like sitting in a chair made out of like human bones.
Yeah. Oh man, one of the greatest artists that ever lived.
Yeah. That man coming up with that design for that biomechanical design is just like, man, that's,
oh my God.
It's when Ridley Scott saw that, he was like,
yeah,
that's it. That's the one thing Scott helped do. He saw that Dan O'Bannon showed Ridley Scott. And he's like, this is the creature. Look at this. He showed him Giger's work and everything. So Ridley Scott gets a lot of credit for Alien, but he only directed it. That story came from Dan O'Bannon, Ronald Shusett, David Giler, and Walter Hill. Ridley Scott did some stuff here and there, but most of that movie came from those four dudes.
Amy, you're 100% right. And Giger, he basically invented that bioorganic thing, that
biomechanical thing. And what was there's even what's really cool about this, and a lot of people might not have seen, is the alien. They called him the scorched alien. That's the one that he kept zapping with the and messed up with the with the cattle prod.
So our little Irish friend who, going back to the main story, because we keep getting off track.
Yeah, we keep getting off track. Well, there's so much good stuff to talk about. Yeah.
They're locked in the room trying to get the cryo fuel.
Oh, when they turns off, as soon as they pull one of them out, it messes up that system and sets off a failsafe that seals that room. And what a lot of things you don't see,
and the temperature starts going up, which is what's releasing the face huggers that were
you don't really you got to be paying some real kind of like OCD like attention there. Right. They had a DNA printer. Those face huggers, they were basically they took that big chap alien, brought it back to that station, cut it. It had cocooned itself in a thing, and that's how you see the opening scene. And then they opened it up, and they reverse engineered that, and they used a DNA printer to like reverse engineer and DNA print face huggers. Those face huggers were in this stasis thing that they had since printed, and you see that DNA printer like a 3D printer, but they used DNA to print the face huggers,
right?
And those are all in that cryostasis, and when they pull that tube of cryo fluid that they need, coolant that they need, it sets off and locks them in that room, and the face huggers are starting to become active because they're no longer in cryostasis. They can't get out of the door, so everybody starts freaking out. That's when Rain and Navarro and the
pregnant girl stays behind.
And the Rain and Navarro leave
This is something I want to point out that is a big problem with the movie: the overuse of overshadowing. Like, you see her throwing up, then it's like, oh, she's pregnant. Wait, she has to. Rain goes over. Are you okay? Yeah. And puts her hand on her stomach. We'll be fine. Like, okay, we get it. And this is going to be a huge plot point in the movie. They overuse. They do a good. Doesn't give the audience any credit. Like, let us figure some things out.
I think they did.
That's just a movie snob critic. Yeah, otherwise, it's fine.
I believe that he did a lot of that stuff, like which to a lot of Alien fans is overused. But I think he put there's a lot of stuff put in that movie for normies. I think there's a whole lot of references to other alien movies that normies might have said, hey, I might remember that. Whereas like some of the lines that they use, that is my main beef with big critique of the movie was their overuse of
and that's a problem
previously used
all
lines
modern
in the
movies. They assume the entire audience is completely stupid, so they have to just tell you right from the get-go or overshadow the shit out of things. And it's like to the point where it's like, you know what's going to happen before the end of the movie.
Oh, basically, now go back to the story. After they get locked in that cryo room, the face huggers are starting to go. Rain and Navarro come off the ship to go to the station to try to get them out of that room. They're locked in there. So there's that half a synthetic that's there is a science officer. So Rain thinks, if I get this chip out of him, because she had to reset. You see her resetting Andy before when he kind of had to when the people were
keeps having seizures
because he's like malfunctioning.
You think he's just a special needs human. Oh, no, he's a special needs.
He's a malfunctioning synthetic. So he doesn't have the security clearance to get them out of that room. He's just like a low-level worker, Weyland-Yutani synthetic. It was like a manufacturer to be working a mining colony. So Rain goes over to where, because it was they find a synthetic laying on the floor, half the synthetic that's torn apart and melted. And he has science officer, a uniform shirt. So she theorizes she can get the chip out of the side of his neck and give that to Andy, and it'll upgrade his security clearance so he can open that door where they're trapped in that cryo room. So she goes over there, gets that, brings it over there. They put it in Andy. While they're doing that, the cryo face huggers. That's
right when the face huggers
start dropping down into the rooms, kind of full of liquid like water from coolant and condensation in that room. Over time is built up. It's got it's got maybe a foot and a half of 2 feet of water in the floor, so they're kind of have to sludge through that. So
about shin deep from all the melted condensation because the room's heating up so much. That's a great scene though when they put the chip in Andy and he seizes up and
his eyes roll back in his head and you see the Weyland-Yutani stamp on his eyeballs, and he's rebooting. That is cool as hell. His eyes roll back. It's like his pupils roll back, and you see the Weyland-Yutani logo on his eyes.
Fucking Walter's on fire tonight. The proper term to describe Andy is mentally robotic. That's so fucking stupid, but I love it. All right. So he seizes up. You see I love that they actually put that the Weyland-Yutani stamp on the whites of his eyes.
That's cool. This trademark. These are our eyeballs.
And everything is getting really tense with the face huggers in the water, and they're starting to notice, movement around them. But the fucking scene when he snaps out of it and just grabs the fucking thing by the tail before it jumps on Cousin.
Yeah, they start they one of them has he's got the cattle prod, the thing from Alien Isolation that you use to shock it's like a stun baton that you can use to shock those bastard working Joes from Alien Isolation and give them some payback. After all the
fucking
hell.
Working Joes, man, they are the worst.
Man, when you get that thing, I'm just I'm fixing to pay these bastards back for all that hell they put me through in the other half of this game. But
now
he grabs
that gives way to one of the best lines is right when Andy starts, fucking turns into smart,
all of a sudden,
evil Andy.
He all of a sudden
our little Irish friend was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Yeah. He all of a sudden Andy goes from being like a glitchy, malfunctioning, kind of a slower
Simple Jack.
Simple Jack. All of a sudden he's extremely articulate, is upgraded his reflexes, he's super quick, everything. And he turns into a totally
the intimidation level of this fucking kid goes from zero non-existent to 100 that. Oh shit.
He goes and I'm telling you, on a dime, he switches on a complete and totally different personality. The dude, there cannot be enough credit given to this actor, David Johnson, for doing this.
Even when his primary directive has shifted from do what's best for Rain. That is all he does, is to care for, like, and take care of her, to do what's best for the company, Waylon.
Yeah. What happens? They get out of that room, shut the door.
Just to go back to the actor, you could see he does such a good job of still having that underlined. You can tell he still remembers his former objective. He doesn't quite disregard her at any point.
No,
like, but you can see that little bit of internal struggle within the character.
But it has changed, man. Good. It's like, and once you find out exactly what happened, you see how this dude just blends these two different things together just perfectly. So like they get out of the room, and all of a sudden the doors close it, and it's just like face huggers for days. They bust through there, and it's like, it shows there were 36 face huggers in that room, and they all come crashing through chase everybody. They shut one of the doors, and one of them gets through, jumps on the Navarro chick, the shaved head, and then she's on the ground. They don't know what's going on. They try to pull it off, and basically what happens is, like, a face hugger, you try to pull it off and it'll kill the person. It would snap her neck, kill her.
Yeah, it's like,
if you try to pull it off, the tail is choking you. Like,
this is the first, and we got like to see the actual underneath of what's going on. It's only implied in Alien, so you know it's face raping somebody.
Oh yeah, it's awful. There's
but
this
to
giant,
see it like,
it's this giant proboscis going through that thing, man. Like, you kind of knew a little if you watch Aliens, when you sit there when it's coming at Ripley and them in the medical facility, and she's pinching the thing when she's got it wrapped around, and it's trying to throw the thing at her, and she's trying to fight it off. You know, when Hicks and them come and shoot the window out and go in there.
This one doesn't shy away. That's like one scene, but in this one, man, they're constantly.
That's that's another thing where they gave too much away. They gave too much away in the trailer showing that. That's another one of the instances, man. But I tell you what, though, I think putting all that in there, they did it to help get people to the movies, man. I think that helped. And if I'm not mistaken, Fetty put out that it was number one this weekend.
They need somebody else doing their trailers, because my God, they could have given enough away to get people asses in the seats without giving away the whole fucking movie.
Well,
because when you have that small of a cast, and you know the three major deaths that are going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. They shouldn't have given so much away. And I have a feeling that that's probably some people at the studio that might not have had faith, given the fact that Alien Covenant bombed and basically killed the franchise, kind of like The Predator killed Predators. Mm-hmm. I mean, killed the Predator franchise, that it was just like, but this has brought it back. So, I mean, they did give too much away in the trailers, and there's too many. My big thing was, it made me cringe several times when you've got some of these quotes from the older film. But after
there we go. Let's talk about that. That was one of my biggest fucking problems with how good this actor played Andy, to have him just rehash the "get away from her, you bitch."
That was
the cringe. I wanted to crawl out. Like, oh my God.
Thankfully, though,
I'm all for fan service and member berries, man, but the rehashing of the lines was over the top, and that was a killer. I mean,
any fan of the Alien franchise is like, the eyes are rolling back so far you can see your brain stem with that. There was too much of several things of it. Like, after they get Navarro's face hug, they don't know what's going on. They decide to take the science officer synthetic, hook him up. They hook him up, and you come to find out that it is the Ash model from the Alien movie. And this is where a lot of people's criticism of the deep fake.
Rook, it's not Ash. They're two different characters.
But it's the same model, like kind of like Bishop from.
Let's talk about how fucking beautiful this movie was, but that was horrifying to look at.
I tell you what, it would
done well at all. Ian Holm.
I tell you what it did to me, and I didn't think it was so bad. But I tell you what I thought. I thought that the synthetic's neck was broke forward, like it was snatched forward, because that thing was torn apart violently. I thought its head was broken and tilted forward the whole time, and that's why it was set up and looked so wonky. And that's in my brain.
No,
even that's the way it. I don't know.
Dude,
that's what it did. And but I guess they could have fixed that. But the way that it was set
the
up,
effects looked as bad as the opening my intro video for this show where I put our faces on. It was that fucking terrible. Which it's supposed to look bad and funny for my intro for a fucking movie. This was terrible. And one thing Neurotic said, which I 100% agreed with, why not just use Lance Hendrickson? He's still alive and could have just played the role.
I don't know, man. Like, to me though, I just Mr. H said this, and I can't come up with it. This is totally not my quote, but he said it, and he was exactly right. He's like, it did not look good, but I settled into it, and I was exactly like that. The movie had me so much into it that I just settled into it, and it didn't bother me. At first, I was like, "Well, that's messed up."
But I accepted it. It looked awful, and I think I do know why they went with the Ash character instead of Lance. They were leaning more into Alien instead of Aliens. This was a horror movie.
Yes, it was.
And this is something I wanted, if we have time tonight to talk about all the other movies I'd like to talk to you about, because I know you're a huge Aliens fan.
Yes.
Action sci-fi. I'm a horror buff. I like the horror side. So Alien is my favorite movie because of the constant dread and the isolation and the claustrophobia. That's my favorite movie.
It took me. I saw
the dread.
I saw Aliens first. I saw it on TV when it came on, I think in 1987, which they didn't. The only thing they really changed was they changed some of the language, some of the swearing stuff, but it didn't sound too terrible. And they actually added a couple of the scenes that were not in the theatrical release. The turret scene and Ripley's daughter, which were not in the original theatrical cut of Aliens, that was only in the director's cut from 2003. And James Cameron added, well, actually, I think they had put it out on HBO or something for a special. But before that, the turret scene with the turrets in the hallways and Ripley's daughter was added for that TV release of that. And I just love that movie so much, and then went back and watched Alien. I love them both, but like this in the fandom, man, let me tell you something. Alien fans are super divided. You have people that love Alien and hate Aliens. They can't stand what James Cameron did with the life cycle, and they have people that love Aliens hate. It's just there's going to be this movie.
I'm in the middle. I love both, but I'm lean more into Alien being the as more of a horror movie.
Yeah, there's just so much Alien.
I have no hatred for Aliens whatsoever. It's just a sci-fi action movie.
Yeah, they're completely different.
So it's kind of fun after all of the terror you're put in Aliens to just go and see a bunch of fucking badasses kick the shit out of them.
Yeah, it was. I just kind of like the whole. All right, bad guys, we got to kill them with the guns and the sound, the weapon sounds. That's some of the most iconic weapon sounds ever. I think they ran I think they ran the weapon sounds through like a flanger pedal for a guitar. My brother said that one time. He's like,
D8TN Kraka. I love the way Rook glared at them after they zapped Andy. So yeah, I mean, the Rook character was good.
I thought it was great.
If he just didn't look so uncanny valley.
It didn't look that great, but like the exposition when they hook him up and he sees the girl face hug and he just goes in there. And let me tell you something. There's something that I didn't even know that for uber alien nerds is in there. He talks about how they basically found Xenomorph XX100 Xenomorph, and that is from the books. That is stuff that only hardcore nerds know. That's the name of the original big chat. That's the technical name for the aliens, like XX100 Xenomorph. And he says that, and he explains how it's an amalgamation of DNA. Right now, it's making an amalgamation. It's laying the parasite. The plague is something or another, and saying that it's an amalgamation of DNA from her to create something else that's going to grow out of her. And then he said, what do you want? How do you don't save her? Be merciful and end her life right now, is what he was saying.
Yeah. So going back, that's what's her name? when
Navarro
with the
got face hug. Yeah, they're saying end her life
yeah,
right now.
and had they listened and done the right thing, knowing that there was no chance of her saving her, that the movie could have ended right there.
That was fast. A lot of this stuff is fast too, and then you come back in later on to find out that they tie this back to Prometheus, and I kind of understand that. I think kind of that whole third act of this movie, I think was a big influence from Ridley Scott. I think he was pushing it because
let's push forward so we can get to that third act, because that's the most controversial. So going after the first act, and we've got the face huggers. Now, this is something else I noticed, and I want to know your opinion. I thought the face huggers were way scarier throughout the movie, especially that first act, than the actual xenomorphs, which was kind of a problem.
I don't know if it was so much a problem, but good. This whole movie, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, it scared the hell out of me at times, dude. I was sitting there tensed up the whole time, so much so when I had to get up to go to the bathroom, I had cut the circulation off, and almost like from sitting there tensing up so much that when I stood up, the blood rushed in my body, and I was like, I got lightheaded and was like, hold on a second, because like I was sitting there, my brother and I was like sitting here just because they were just, they're tangible. Like I'm sure that there's a little bit of CG with the face huggers, but for the most part, those were actually like practical effects, running around, crawling around, and everything like that. And they were just, like you have one section of the station that's full of face huggers. The other section of the station you find out is full of xenomorphs. It's like this place is a nightmare.
So the Irish kid and his girlfriend run away because they think Andy's gonna kill her.
Because what happens with
let
Andy,
her back on.
What happens with Andy is you find out that Andy has basically, when he upgraded, he took like Rook, which is the like the same model android as Ash. He took his programming and it upgraded his system and overrode his prime directive with, instead of protect Rain at all costs,
protect Rain's best interest, to protect the
company's best interest. And that's what happened. And basically Andy's personality became an amalgam of what was Andy mixed with Rook's directives, and gave him like,
you could see that
with his
intelligence throughout.
And
that's what he did very well. He didn't just play. You've seen characters that go from like smart character to stupid character, smart character, good to evil, and they play just polar opposites, like they're different. He did a good mesh where you could really feel that it was the same character, but not.
It was different. It was an amalgam. He took some kind of like the Alien as an amalgam of the face hugger and inserting a parasite, taking an amalgam of the DNA of the host and the alien mixed together to create another creature. Andy was taking an amalgam of his personality and experiences mixed with other directives. It's almost kind of like, and like if you
trying to help them survive, but they don't want to hear it. And when Rook's character says you have to help them because they're going to be led by emotions, and you have the benefit of not, being burdened by that.
He starts talking to They basically he tries to stop Navarro from going back on the ship. They pull the face hugger off. They use cryo, which I thought was very smart, to freeze the tail so they could pull it off.
Had a
and
reverse.
It was only on there for like 20
we have
minutes,
a ice gun.
And it was only on there for like 20 minutes or so. But I'm telling you, when they mix all of this stuff together, it's fast enough that was all it took. He was like, they pulled it off over. What's their chances? Maybe 60-40 that she was infected.
What I thought was really fucked up was that his cousin, the Irish kid and his girlfriend. Now, granted, that is, that's his girl, so you can understand his. He got the fight or flight in him like that. But they were willing to just fucking leave Rain and his cousin without it. No problem, ditch them to die.
But I can kind of understand that if that's if that's the person you love and whenever you don't fight, that's
his main.
Man, you just cross that threshold, kill them, do this, not let them off, then man, you're gonna go. And they get on they run, get on the Corbalon. Andy can't stop them, so they go in there, and then eventually the Corbalon, they detach basically, and then when she's in there, you know, you
because
see
she's
what you
their
see.
pilot, by the way.
Yeah, she's their pilot, and they're about to take off, and then, chest burst of time, that's pretty brutal, man. That was
their
very,
ship
very...
collides, sends
when
station
she
off
starts having,
course.
when she starts having, like seizures and stuff like that,
Right.
her foot kicks the joystick, causes the transport to go over, collide with a fuel tank on the station, and blow up, sends it shooting over into another part. And it is kind of like, I guess people would say, oh, it's miraculous.
So they went from having 36 hours to colliding with the asteroid belt to like, I think
47 minutes.
47 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it only took that, and Andy explains it. It only takes the slightest deviation of course.
That's physics
to send shit off. Yeah.
When you're in, that's why when you're in that, I love that, man, because that's straight up physics, man. Like, they're in orbit, it's decaying orbit, gravity's pulling them into the rings. One little exploding fuel tank just moves it just enough to change it like that.
Now, for the middle part of the movie, which you can pretty much guess, it's chest burster. Now we've got the actual xenomorph, and terror ensues. There's not really a lot to cover in that. It's all pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. But
is there
they did
anything
show
in between that you want to touch on before we got to get to the third act? Because this is the most.
Real quick, like, they added something that you had never seen before in the xenomorph life cycle. When it goes from chest burster to warrior alien,
Right.
They had a cocooning, and you never saw it before. And the way they did it was they made a giant cocoon vagina up on the wall.
Yep.
And it was
big old nasty vagina.
Yeah. And then the dude, his cousin, because after that thing busts out, and basically after the ship crashes back into the station, they wake up, like, the girl, you know, they're injured, and they're walking to the station, and the guy, his cousin, this a-hole, has the cattle prod. He sees that cocoon, starts ramming the cattle prod in there and zapping the thing. And what he does, it's like the part of the tail comes out while he's standing there with the cattle prod just, you know, shorts out. That tail comes out, smashes him in his face, probably takes out his eye and half his face. He lands on the ground. Yeah. Acid starts dripping out of that cocoon in the most brutal, it just burns a hole in his chest.
You see what it actually does, because a lot of people would think, oh, you get a little acid on you, it'll burn a little bit of flesh, and you wipe it.
Molecular acid. It would burn. It burned it to skin, bone in seconds.
Yeah, he's done. You get any of that on you, and they
done.
show it very visceral.
Very, very visceral.
Oh my God. And he was a character I wanted to see throughout at least a little bit longer, especially right before he dies, when you see the pregnant girl. She has no idea what the fuck is going on, other than she witnessed the chest burster because she was holding the girl.
Yeah.
When it fuck me, microphone.
All right. So
when it pops out,
Andy gets with
when he comes up behind her and puts his hand and and then points to it, and that's when we see the cocoon. I'm like, oh, this dude, I wanted him to have a better out than that, but nope.
What's another thing too is they have to basically, Andy talks to Rook, gets the directives. He has to go to the other part of the station and retrieve vials of essentially the mutagen from Prometheus, the vials of the black goo from Prometheus, which they reverse DNA engineer from when they got the original Big Chap alien from the original Alien movie at the beginning. They reverse engineered that to get, basically it's a pathogen, that pathogen from Prometheus. That's how it ties back into Prometheus.
Yep.
And
Rook explains that instead they're trying to make humans more because all their human workers are dying because they're not equipped for space colonization like they had hoped. So none of the company's objectives are going out. So for the betterment of mankind, which is the betterment of the company, they're gonna make humans more equipped to deal with that. And they're
gonna speed up evolution by using that mutagen, which is basically altering DNA. I mean, we're talking in the future. They're able, when you got starships and all the crows and stuff, it's not too far fetched to imagine a DNA printer. Like think of a 3D printer, but they can use DNA to print out life forms and other type of living things.
We've all lived the last couple of years. It's not far-fetched at all to think that they're gonna start making us inject something for our benefit, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they have to get to the other side of the station. One half is Romulus, one half is Remus. So they're going with Andy. Rain and Tyler are going with Andy. And to get them, they're trying to get to the transport. The transport got knocked when the chest burster came out. It knocked the station out of orbit. It crashed into the hangar on the other side of the station, and they have to go through facehugger infested areas of the Romulus part of the station. I believe they're in Romulus. They're in the Romulus side. Remus is the other side. So they have to get to that part of the station. Romulus is the older tech, sort of like from the movie Alien. Remus is sort of newer, that has some stuff closer to the tech that we see in Aliens. And so they have to get from one side to the other. And there's a room full of face huggers. And they ask, what was I thought was also really cool, ask Andy, how do these things sense them? And they sense you on temperature, movement, and sound. The face huggers do. So I thought
they
it
have
was
no
really
sight
too. And
they a lot of like predatory insects that have limited sight, but they sense vibration, heat signatures. Like I live in Nevada, and if you ever go out in the desert, we have these spiders that burrow into the ground and they detect heat. So when prey like a varmint or a mouse or whatever, even a lizard comes up, they pop up and snatch it. Ooh. And you can walk through the desert and all of a sudden they pop out like little fucking landmines, scare the shit out of you.
Oh my God, I'm so glad. That's nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I know.
Rain has the idea of raising the temperature into the room to 98.6 to mimic body temperature, so there's no difference in the temperature of the room in their bodies, so that it confuses the face huggers and they can't see them, which is actually a pretty cool. I'm telling you, and Mr. H said this too. I don't find any plot holes in this movie.
I really don't. The biggest problem is them giving the plot away too much throughout the movie.
And then some of the, like I said, some of the pulling direct quotes out of there. Like I tell you,
cringe. Yeah.
They also pulled one from Rook. They pulled a direct quote that Ash had from Alien again about all of the life forms expand. I was just like, that was another one too. I was like, you didn't have to do that. It's so
they're
on
doing
the
that.
nose.
I think you said it earlier. They're doing it for normies, for people that aren't massive fans of the franchise, or even casuals that have at least seen these movies, and like it's to really throw that out there. They think they're doing it for the fans, like for the member berries, but really
it's just too much for your fans, because most hardcore Alien fans, man, are hardcore Alien fans, and like you just know
you've got a good movie on its own. It stands on its own merit. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, but fortunately, there's so much good stuff that I like in this movie that it completely overshadows a lot of those. I do still have those, critiques, but there was enough other stuff that like it happened and didn't pull me out. It was just okay. Well,
so going back to that scene, Andy is telling them how the face huggers can detect them, and they have to go through an entire massive laboratory to get to the other door that is full of them. So they raise the temperature on the room to match their body temperatures. That way they can, if they're quiet, they can get through the room without any detection. But at this time, the Irish kid had just gotten acid death, and pregnant girls in a room alone with the xenomorph now erupted from its vaginal cocoon.
And it looks
this, by the way,
sick.
is our other main character / love interest sister. So she's radioing him, and of course, being that's his sister, he's not gonna turn off the radio, and keeps talking to her instead of just fucking muting the shit, getting to the other door, then talking to her, which is what he should have done. Basic survival instincts, but he can't do that. Again, just like Andy stated, or Andy and Rook had talked about, humans are driven more by emotion.
And that's completely justifiable
to make you make mistakes.
And that is where you get the facehugger start to become aware of this. She's locked in that room with this freaking Just this freaking full-blown alien, man, and it looks so good.
Looks
the
great.
Effects on this thing look amazing.
Everything about it,
dude. It's got the skull. It's got the human skull beneath the dome too, man, like the original Alien did.
What up, Stray Beans? One of my favorite X accounts and regulars here. Good to see you, buddy.
Dude, but when
I'll share Funko Pop's pictures with you later, my man.
When he eventually tells her she's trying to get out of the door, and there's a key on the floor, and then she gets it and gets out of there. The face huggers hear the radio conversation, and then Andy says the one thing, run. And they take that scene.
Like, that's what I wanted to talk about. That was one of the best scenes of the movie. Just all of that, and it just fucking does that focus in with the silence, and then we just run.
And they come, man, they face huggers everywhere, and I'm just sitting there, just like, blood pressure's going through the roof, man. I'm telling you, this movie it totally sucked you. I was so stressed the whole time. It's just like,
And now, moving the plot along, we're getting to that fucking. What would you say is where everybody's critique comes in with that third act? Where does that really start? When after they've already gotten back to the ship, we're down to just Andy, the pregnant girl, and
yes. Although I will say, when there are
a lot of great scenes in between.
I just real quick, they go into the one part of the Remus station. I believe that's the one where they go and they get into the lab. Or is it the Romulus lab? It's Romulus or Remus one. I can't remember which side it is. I think it's the Remus side. And they go in there, and he gets the vials of the mutagen from Prometheus, and then they go open up a locker, and they get F1A pulse rifle, F1AA for aim assist. And the pulse rifle has 450 rounds, which the smart gun from the Aliens versus Predator 2 game had 450 rounds. Also, it has aim assist like a smart gun. It locks on. They put the thing behind the shoulder, and it's got a little.
That's another rip-off scene from Aliens where what's his name? The guy is showing her how to use the gun, just like when
Hicks is showing Ripley.
Ripley.
Man, I'll be honest with you, I didn't care because I'm just like,
out of all of the rip-off scenes, I liked that one the most. I thought
when they're going into the pulse rifle stuff, I'm just like, and then it shows it locking on. I'm like, it's basically that gun is like kind of like a mix of the pulse rifle and the smart gun. In the games, if you ever play it, the smart gun will tracks and locks onto it, and that's what this gun does. And man, dude,
to kind of backtrack. So the pregnant girl's locked in with the alien, and Andy refuses to open the door because he acknowledges he's like, it's right there. That's what it wants us to do.
It wants to open the door.
If I open the door, we're all dead. I'm not doing it. And they're all, freaking out. That's when Rain finally realizes Andy's not Andy anymore.
Yeah, the prime directive. And when he lets, because the Xenomorph comes down and
dead, because we see the tail go through right through the neck
and snatch
was it the shoulder or the neck? I think it was through the neck.
I thought it was like somewhere in the shoulder. I might be wrong.
Yeah. Man. She shouldn't have survived though. But
if it was the neck, man, there was no way. That's why I think it was somewhere in the shoulder. It snatches her, and you think basically she's dead, and Andy wouldn't open the door and let her die. But like from an actual logical perspective, he was 100% correct. But from an emotional human
they would have
perspective,
all gotten killed.
Yeah, if he'd opened the door,
it was right fucking there.
It was right there watching. It had the tail. You see, it had the tail up, just ready to strike. Yeah, it was crazy,
dude. And that's when we get to the lab. They get the vials. They explain everything about the vials. They get the guns, and they're making their way through. And then we realize, just like any hyper evolved insect species, they've totally started colonizing the
you find out what hold on a second. They get the pulse rifle, and they're on the bottom floor of the station, and they're working their way trying to get back to the elevator, and that's when they realize they have just ran into a hive, and it shows it, and there's not one xenomorph here, but a bunch of them, because it shows several bodies from the people who were obviously working on this space station.
Now, and that's what was interesting. They were the xenomorph was harvesting the corpses, and it seemed like they were actually using them to create more. Which I didn't know they could do, but hey, whatever. I went with it.
Man, there could have even been a queen there, except for the fact that I think Ridley Scott hates the idea of a queen. Man, he ain't down with that. So, man, he's kind of like one of the
I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they didn't do a queen.
That would have been too much. But they run into, they've got the guns, and you can't fire. We're on the bottom station of the bottom floor of the station. You saw that hole that was burned into the floor, because basically, Rook goes through and explains what happened. Yeah, Rook goes through and explains, and then you see the body of the original big chap up there on the ceiling, and that's what melted that giant hole through the station. Basically,
actually, dude, Stray Beans, I think they did this really well, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. That's where we're going to talk about this third act, which I'm dying to get to, because there's Alien Resurrection that did this a similar thing horribly, and we got one of the worst alien designs in the history of the franchise versus what we got in this one, which I think was fucking terrifying and great.
Oh, it was just friggin' man. I'm telling you,
that thing was so fucking terrible.
Oh my god, it was, dude, it scared the living hell out of me.
Let's breeze past second act. It's all good. Fucking
the acid, they do find out
they find the pregnant girl still alive, surprisingly. She's dying from the injuries inflicted on her, and Andy recommends injecting her.
They basically, one quick thing, they had to come up with an idea, because if they shot the aliens, you see all the aliens from the hive coming after them and blocking the way between them and that elevator to get to the hangar, and they've got the guns, and Andy tells him, "You can't shoot that. You just go. We're on the bottom floor. It'll burn it. It'll open us up to space, and we'll all go in a vacuum and die." And he said, "Why did you give us the guns just to intimidate them?" So they're sitting there pointing the guns at them, but they don't shoot. And then they come up with the idea of turning the gravity off, and then if they shoot them, that the acid will not be drawn down to that bottom floor. So that's when they have to. They basically shoot, and it just gives me pulse rifle porn there, and I'm just gonna
pulse.
I was just sitting there hitting my brother, just like
I'm not familiar. You might be. There's a deleted scene from Alien when Dallas.
It's not Dallas. It's Brett. Egg morphing, which in the lore. Kind of like, if you do consider, some of the Alien fans hate aliens and some of them don't even want to consider that part of the franchise. I'm telling you, the Alien fans are hardcore. But and there's egg morphing that a lot of people say, as far as in canon, if there's a lack of a queen, they can use the body of to morph into another egg, because that's what they were doing in like the deleted scene of Alien. Ripley finds kind of a hive that the original big chat from that movie was making. Dallas was still alive, covered in maggots, saying "kill me," and then you see Brett, who was a corpse, basically being morphed into an egg, and then it was restored for the 2003 director's cut that came out with the Alien quadrilogy box set. But that is one of the things, like that fans have surmised, with a lack of a queen, they can do egg morphing. You know, because it's such an adaptable organism that it can just change depending on the surroundings. I mean, it takes its host DNA and it divides it. That's why the original Alien had a human skull underneath that dome, because it was like it came from Cain, and even Ash refers to it as Cain's son, because it was like made from Cain. So, yeah. Oh yeah, it
Honestly,
is.
more
It is
fucked
so
up
much messed up
biological
stuff,
process.
dude. The whole
Yeah,
thing
I
is
agree.
there's so much messed up stuff with this, and we can go into this movie too. It's messed up. What happens? No, we can go past. They make their way back. They get to Tyler gets killed. They get back to the ship. The pregnant girl is essentially about dying, and so
this dumb bitch who's pregnant. She thinks she's dying. She's got the vials. Rain already stopped Andy from injecting her with it to save her life.
Yeah,
and she said, "No, get up there, freeze yourself, and we'll get you proper medical attention."
Yeah.
And she's already there, and the dumbass fucking injects herself.
Yeah, with that.
We all
basically know the black goo from Prometheus.
Yeah.
And we know how that worked out
she
for everything.
Herself, which she was there. She could have just fucking froze herself, but she injects herself. They go through this badass fucking zero gravity scene and the shooting of the xenomorphs, which is like a fucking video game. I enjoyed the shit out of that.
They get back.
We didn't have a whole lot of scares with the xenomorphs in that scene. It was just getting to see them get their shit blown off.
That's where the movie kind of leaned more into a little bit more like Aliens, because you've got a pulse rifle, which some of us been dying to see since
the corridor.
Yeah. Some of us been dying to see since 86, and people are like, "Oh, you're just repeating. It's repetitive, the same stuff." Hey, you know what? It's fine, pretty cool, and it's different characters in a similar. I'm telling you, man, different characters in a similar setting is still badass. Different characters in a similar badass setting is still badass. So I can still watch it. I don't care. I've seen Aliens 1,000 times, but I want to see new people. I want to see the Colonial Marines fighting these things again, man. I want to see it. I dig it.
When she's shooting them in 0G, and then going through and avoiding the acid to get up to the elevator shaft. That was probably was the most tense. And that gave us the most tense scenes with the xenomorphs that were trying to get to her during that time. So I'll give them that. And we got to breeze through this middle act so we can get to the end. She gets to the elevator shaft, gets her into cryo state, not knowing she's injected herself. And then what does she do? She sees Andy, evil Andy, who had just saved her life, but he's seizing out on the floor, and she decides
one of the xenomorphs hit him and knocked him down, and he was seizing out on the floor, and she goes back to get him, and then she's about to remove the chip, and then she says, "If you let me remove the chip, I'll repair you. That's for the best of the company." So he allows her to do it, and she pulls out the Rook data chip, and then it restores Andy to Andy.
Right. And then we go into the 0G. So I kind of
no. They did the 0G before that. I think.
Was it
no. You're right. It was after that.
It was after. She goes back for Andy, and that's when they're trapped. And we go into the whole the shooting and the 0G, and then we get to now we're at the third act.
Finally, it took us a million.
I know we've talked about this movie longer than the actual runtime of the fucking film. I think.
Hey man, it's freaking. I'm telling you, if you like, dude, this is what's so cool about doing stuff you like. You can sit and talk about this stuff and go into artistic detail on it.
Now, this is where things get controversial, but everybody kind of knew from the beginning. Once she was, she's pregnant. You knew this was going to happen. Something is going to. You just knew it was their foreshadowing kind of had the subtlety of a freight train hitting a piano with an exploding orchestra. We've got Simple Andy back, and prime directive is protect Rain or do what's in her best interest. And she tells him your new prime directive is to do what's in our best interest.
And she's going to take him with her to the colony, because we passed on something before. They weren't, colony was not a Weyland-Yutani colony. So they did not accept synthetics there, but and they were going to have to
she would be a criminal, basically a synth human smuggler if she brought him. So,
but she's not.
So she's going to leave his ass behind anyway.
But they're not going to do that now. She decided not to do that because that's pretty shitty. And anyway, pregnant girl is in cryo, and they're about to go into cryo, and then all of a sudden you get an alert about the vitals on the pregnant woman. So she comes out of cryo, and then you get this really messed up, twisted scene where like she gives birth to this freaking thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty
like
sick.
An egg sack.
Egg thing.
And when that thing fucking opens and you see that face, oh my
God, man. It's just the most unnerving, unhuman thing. And then it's got acid on it. Rain's taking it to like blow it out the airlock or throw it down in the storage, and then she has to drop it because it starts smoking because there's acid coming out of it, and it eats through the floor and goes down into the bottom of the cargo hauler. Is like it's cargo. It's guitar like that. It's a cargo hauler, and it hauls like a cargo compartment at the bottom,
full of like a big mineral mine.
Yeah, mining equipment. It's like it was where they would haul the minerals.
Sand that they had obviously been mining it at the colony. And the fucking thing,
man, that thing it opens up and it comes out, and there's like this face thing on it, and then it's like man,
let's see if I can find an image of it, because that versus we've already had a human alien baby hybrid and Alien Resurrection, and that thing looked like fucking Pumpkinhead from the 80s.
But this is actually, come to find out, in Fede Alvarez.
You're right, it is a repeat of that, but
Fede Alvarez
done
stated, he stated that he didn't even make that connection, which take that if you will, if you believe him. I have no reason for this. I see no reason for this dude to lie. He's been putting out stuff since the beginning. He didn't even make that connection. Professor Savage, Dad, Moxie Dad.
Yo, what up, dude?
Sup, guys? This thing comes out, and let me see what happens. She goes down there. Didn't she get the cryo gun to shoot it or something? Oh, and then like they're sitting there, and like it walks up behind them, and this freaking thing is just good. It's like about how tight? It's like about like 10 feet.
Dude,
tall. It's like
the
8
way
to 10.
They did with the long skinny arms, it had a face similar to like
it looks like a mix. It was like a mix between an engineer from Prometheus, and it was skinny, tall, and then it had like a mix between an engineer and a xenomorph. Like it had like a long tail, and it had this like slender face of an engineer. It was like this unholy, terrifying dude. And you know, as bad as Alien Resurrection, that newborn was there, this thing was the exact opposite.
This is the bullshit we got in Alien Resurrection. Not scary. This thing is just retarded. It looks like Spirit Halloween props.
Yeah.
It was laughable.
It was.
I was a kid when this movie came out. Seeing this, when it made its big appearance, I thought it was just hilarious. And it was so like wanted mommy Sigourney. This thing shows up and goes to its mother and tries to nuzzle, and she's terrified.
No, I think it just eats it.
But it had no intention of wanting mommy's affection. It was there to like eat, and it did.
Yeah.
When Rain comes in, finally is tracking the thing down by its footprints that are getting bigger and bigger throughout the ship.
Yeah.
And she finds it back where it was birthed with its mother sitting there with the long arms eating the mom. That is a great fucking horror scene. That
is one of the most
didn't shy away from.
No, they did not, dude.
That was, and the fact that the face was so human, but not like you said, that engineer face.
It was disturbing.
Oh God. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can find an image of it to share.
It was. I don't care. People and Mr. H said this as well. This third act is divisive and stuff like that. It's gonna be divisive amongst Alien fans because Alien fans are divisive amongst themselves. There are some people who love Alien and hate aliens, and love aliens and hate, and they hate this and hate that. I'm telling you, the Alien fandom is all kinds of very passionate, very divisive stuff. There's no singular thing. And I can totally see how some people dislike this, and hate it, but it pulled stuff straight from Prometheus and made it, and it's disturbing, dude.
I really can't. I can't find an image. So you guys, I'm sure everybody here has seen the movie, so they know what we're talking about. If you're not,
actually, Stray Beans has not seen it.
Ruin the whole movie for you.
I know Stray Beans has not seen it. We've been ruining the movie for him, dude.
Why?
Why are you here, man?
I appreciate you being here, man.
I
but
do too,
dude,
but like, yeah, I hate that we're ruining it. It's man, it's definitely worth seeing. In the movie.
I will. You know what? I will stand by this movie. I think everybody should go see it. So you should.
I do too. I agree,
Even
man.
if
I think it's awesome. Even if you're not,
we only glossed over, and we've probably fucked up so many details because we've only just seen it once recently. But you should go see it, man.
Yeah, it's fantastic, dude. I think it's crazy enough and horror enough, and to get for normies and that Alien fans, a lot of Alien fans are gonna love it. Absolutely,
I fucking loved it. Like
I did too, man. There were so many nods, man.
There
was a scene in there that had a
Nerdrotic in a lot of them, and I love these guys, but they're like, okay, so there's still only 2 Alien movies. I'm gonna be the fucking maybe I'm just a normie here, but fandom.
No, this is the third.
I'm gonna say I think there's 3 now.
I do too. I agree.
I will put it right there with them. I enjoyed the shit out of it. The look, it definitely has its problems.
And it added stuff to the canon, man. There was some cool stuff. Now, basically, man. Dude, now they knew about this thing the whole time. And it just, Wayland Donnie is such an evil corporation. When you see what they're doing on the colonies, they left Ripley out there to die. They went out there and found that. And that scene at the beginning, that whole section where they go through and find the big chap out there, they used it's like the reticuli something system that, and they show it on the computer. There's so much stuff in that scene. That sequence at the beginning, it's absolutely fantastic. And that right there, as soon as I saw it, I was like, it had me. I was telling my brother, I was like, that's it. That's the big chap. And then you see him bring it back, and there's all these scientists in all these suits, and then they start cutting it open, and you see what it is. It's like, wow.
With how bad so many like recent movies are, this is one I actually like. As soon as me and Selena got out, we were like, I want to go see it again. That rarely happens.
Yeah, this is one you can just watch again, man, because
it's not as good as Alien or Aliens. It's not gonna be I mean, that's never gonna happen though.
No.
But the effort, and they really did try to do a good job, and I think they did. All problems they had aside, I was very happy with it.
I think I want to see Fede
Alvarez.
Great
fucking time in the theater.
I hope they just like Fede Alvarez, man. They give him the keys and let him do and do a sequel or something else in the universe, because this guy has serious reverence, man, for this.
Where does the franchise go after this, do you think? I mean,
you could do
is this a one and done, or do you think they could keep going?
I think you could do a sequel to this. I think Fede Alvarez, although I don't want to see it now, somebody asked him about doing an Alien versus
a lot of people
Predator
weren't very
movie.
Positive about the movie. Red Letter Media, I'm not surprised, but I mean, people that I have high respect to their opinions didn't like it, but
yeah,
I fucking did.
I don't either, man. I'm just like, I love it, man. This is freaking, dude, you see how much we're talking about this stuff, and I'm just like, oh.
I came out excited. I was fucking down. I'm down to see it again.
Yeah, I want to. It's definitely good, and you felt like you're in that universe. It pulled you in there, and you're like, and with this, and we talked about it some, but the score for this film, that guy was just
fucking hell. That was so good,
dude. I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy a score. Yeah.
The thing, a lot of people don't know how impactful a movie score is. And if you go back to some of the greatest movies ever made, why have they stood up the test of time so long? Is that fucking score. There's a reason why John Williams is still getting work, and he's what, 90
something years old. This movie this guy looked at Jerry Goldsmith, James Horner, and oh God, that guy I've got to see who did. Let me look that up real quick, like.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna pull up. We're gonna pull up some stuff here. Kind of take a trip back in
Elliot
time.
Goldenthal for Alien 3. He did a great score for Alien 3. I'll give him. I'll give props for that. Alien 3. That was a good score, but this dude, and let me find out
Well,
who the
speaking
guy
of
is.
Alien 3, now, if this movie is divisive, I would. That's some nitpicky bullshit compared to the what they did in Alien 3, which
Good
is
grief,
just.
you ain't kidding, man.
Let's
take everything before.
Let's take a look at that fucking trailer from that fucking.
I tell you what,
movie
I'm
here
gonna
real
have to. I'm gonna run to the restroom real quick.
All right,
dude.
I'm gonna go ahead and play this real quick. We're
Okay.
gonna go on mute anyway. I agree with you 100%, dude. The Junkie XL score, that score fucking kicks, but the movie not so much. That flash sequence is great.
In 1979, we discovered in space, no one can hear you scream. In 1992, we will discover on Earth, everyone can hear you scream.
I'm just gonna say right now, that movie was nothing but a fucking cash grab and a duct taped plot with just leaning on the star power of Sigourney Weaver at the time. The first person perspective scene of the humanoid xenomorph cracking Rain's perspective. Yes, I loved that, by the way. We skipped how cool the space sequences were made. Yeah, I mean, dude, I can't be here all night. We could literally just dissect every aspect of the film, and so much they did right about it, man. Space sequences. And going back to something else you said right after that whole, and yeah, we had, how is she going to get rid of the humanoid xenomorph? Oh, the airlock and getting sucked into space again. They kind of wrote themselves into a corner there, though. What else could they do? It'd be really hard to get creative and figure out another way of dispatching it that wasn't so derivative. But I mean, we got more of the same, but it was cool and it was great it was fun to look at, you know, with her strapped in the spacesuit, having to you know, fight against how fast the ship's temperature was dropping. I'd buy a copy of Alien 3 with good CGI covering the rod puppet scenes. I like the puppets. Well, not in Alien 3 though. I don't know. I wouldn't buy a copy of Alien 3 for anything. I don't know, chat. What do you think's worse, Alien 3 or Resurrection? The only thing that was very convenient was the pod that birthed the alien was perfectly placed with it being ready to just be tipped over. Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look at another trailer while we wait on Diesel to come back here. What do we got? We've got a few good ones. You know, we'll go to something real good here. We're gonna pull this motherfucker up. 1 second. Love the graininess. you got the link, I'll play it, man. I don't know where to find that. That's how you sell a fucking movie. No dialogue, no spoilers, just fucking mood, atmosphere, music, building the intensity. That sells it.
Yeah.
The fucking trailers for Romulus was just a summarization of the entire fucking movie.
Yeah. Yeah. They did. It was too much. That right there is one of the greatest teasers ever. Not a word of dialogue.
My 10-year-old nephew usually hates my recommendations, but I put Aliens on a few weeks ago and he was completely invested. And that says something because that movie's over 40 years old, man.
Yep.
It stands up.
It does. That movie.
The effects. I rewatched Alien, just maybe a year ago, and the effects still hold up. Aliens still holds up.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
and what's crazy is how they did the power loader. That's a dude in a suit with a thing. I don't know how they did that. That thing looks legit. It looks legit and sounds legit, like a legit piece of machinery, man. It looks like something that'd be sitting by the forklift.
Now, what's crazy about back then, I'm glad Stray Beans brought up that he showed his 10-year-old nephew Aliens, and they fucking loved it. They were so fucking wild in the 70s and 80s. They were marketing merchandise for these movies that kids that were not intended for children.
That's Generation X, man. They didn't give a shit, dude. There's a toy commercial for the Big Chap Alien, and it's little kids playing with it. And I'm just like, watch little kids watching
Go
Alien,
to that
man.
for a minute. And what's crazy now, you go down the toy aisles at Walmart and everywhere, and all that shit is marketed to fucking us. It's not marketed to these.
No, it's all marketed to us.
They're playing Angry Birds and League of Legends, man. We're the ones buying this shit.
Yeah,
that's why they're bringing back all of the even the old box art for the fucking figures that were from
they generation. Did. They took these NECA figures, the Aliens NECA figures,
they're so good.
They made NECA versions of those 90s Kenner ones.
Yeah,
like the crazy ones. Yeah, I don't have they're like nicer version. They're painted up to look like the 90s Kenner versions. Like they've got Apone and he's wearing a hat that says Bug Killer or something. And Ripley, they're all wearing weird, crazy 90s colored stuff, man. It's weird. They put out, it's like
we go.
Yeah. This is
Hold
crazy.
on.
Look at this toy.
This is fucking great.
Toy, man.
Let me get this pulled up here. This would be a great way to close out the show. All right. 1979.
Kenner presents Alien action figure.
Phoenix, blow! Quick, shut the airlock! The alien's locked out now! He got through! Shh! Give up! Alien can't be beat! We'll zap him with the light! Don't, he'll destroy the space! Lost! Better find another ship! Let's try the kitchen!
Look at these little kids playing with that messed up thing! Look at that!
They're marketing it like they've seen the fucking movie. With all the
little kids, look at that,
the face draping and vaginal and phallic representation from
the human skull in the front with no eyes and
that thing is so fucking dope, man. I would if I had the money to drop and I could find one even damaged box.
I had the NECA.
I would jump on it.
I had the NECA version of this that came out in about 2009.
Mm-hmm.
It was like an 18-inch figure, and it was like, dude, I had it. It had the clear dome, and you could see the skull and everything. And let me tell you something, man. I'm an idiot. I sold it when I had fell off the wagon and whatnot, man. And like, I'd have to. I wish I'd have kept it, but it was like this 18-inch figure, and it was just looked just like that. It was like a new, more movie accurate version of that toy. It's crazy.
You tried to get your mom and dad to buy you the 18-inch figure at Gold Circle.
Yeah, that
pulled.
That toy was pulled.
It was only $19.99.
Yeah, it was pulled for the market
eBay
because they were just like, wait a second, this is not for kids. Look at this demonic thing.
Well, unless it's just an urban legend, what I've always heard is that the original designs for He-Man, Skeletor, and Teela were originally intended to be for the Conan the Barbarian movie, but the toy line pulled it when they reviewed the film and saw how violent and hard R it was, especially at the time, and that later evolved into He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
I haven't heard that. It could be,
but that's surprising that they would pull back then, because they didn't really pull back from anything. You had RoboCop toys going alongside the original movie, which was not at all for kids. You had
there was
Rambo.
a RoboCop cartoon, man.
Oh,
there's a Rambo cartoon too.
There were, I think, 3 different cartoons. The first one was the best, that appeared on the Marvel Comics Action Hour, which also debuted the failed pilot for X-Men, the Pride of the X-Men, where Wolverine had this horrible Australian accent, but they later used those same costume designs in X-Men 97, which was that fucking series I could go on about forever.
Yeah,
Let's pull this up real quick. Here's another example of marketing this shit for kids.
The first 2 were like Aliens commercial. Yeah.
Alien action figures.
Quick, shut the Ella.
You just saw that one.
The aliens popped out.
There you go. Go right there. You
These
go.
are
Right
the ones
there.
I remember.
These are
Here we go.
Check out the 90s. These batshit crazy.
Oh
90s
my
killer
God.
commercials. Check this out.
I went nuts for these. I got 1 year for Christmas. I got those along with the Batman the Animated Series figures. That was my shit during that.
Yeah, man.
I want to say
Kenner
94.
Yeah, that kid.
Here we go.
They were all Kenner.
They're unstoppable! But we've got to give it our best shot! Send in the Marines! We're the Space Marines! Drake, Ripley, 8-Bone, Bishop,
Look at
and I'm
8-Bone, he's
Hicks,
got no
armed with the
bug
latest
shirt.
high-tech heavy metal. Queen Alien breathing down your back? I blast her with the Bug Rocker. Button heads with the Bull Alien? Ripley frags him with the Turbo Torch. Alien invasion problem?
Send in the Marines.
That was my favorite one, the Gorilla Alien that
Yeah.
had the squishy head that you could suck water up and then squirt it on your
Squirted
motherfucker.
out like it was squirting acid on you, man. They had a
Space
bull
Marine
alien,
figures and
like
alien
a
figures,
scorpion
each sold
alien, a
separately.
snake alien. They had all kinds
Yeah,
of
Bull Alien. Man, my only problem was fucking the way they made Bishop. They made him
Bishop.
too robot.
They show him. Check this out. They got Bishop in one of these commercials. He's wearing shades.
Rick Kid, or you mean Rich Kid? I wasn't rich, man, not by any means. I just had I had an extended family, so I got a little bit from grandma and grandpa, a little bit from the aunts and uncles, so it all worked out on its own.
They're unstoppable, but we're gonna stop them anyway. Send in the Marines. We're the Space Marines. Drake, Ripley, 8-Bone, Bishop, and I'm Hicks, armed with the latest high-tech heavy metal.
Look out, Hicks! The Queen's gonna crown you! My Bug Rocker's on a roll! Bull Alien attacking! Eat torch, Bug Brain!
Alien invasion problem? Send in the Marines.
Now,
Bishop's got
I also
shades.
heard that when this toy line was released, they were planning on doing an animated series that never got off the ground.
Oh, I believe it, man.
Now, they had the comic books that kind of followed the toy series because that was their marketing goal back in the 80s, 90s, and all that. The cartoons that came out for your toys was just basically a commercial for the toys.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And you had some good ones,
If they
though,
couldn't
that
do a
were like
cartoon, they did
lightning
a
in a
comic
bottle.
book.
Yeah.
And-
And the Aliens comic book, man, some of the Dark Horse stuff, it like
Oh, God.
before
dude, those were
Alien
great.
3, they had like Hicks and Newt on Earth, and the Earth War and all that stuff. I've read the comic books, the novelizations of those things. Man, it's good. Those are
Alien
cool
3
story.
shit the bed because it should have just jumped in the future to recast Newt as a young woman and gone from there.
Yeah, I see. Yep.
Maybe show, fucking Hicks and Ripley either older or her visiting their graves after the fact. And
they what they did though, but they were just
direction.
like they had all these different directors coming in. I didn't want to do the same things, more hallways, more corridors, more guns in space. And I'm just like, that's what works. Why you keep trying to change and look, I'm trying to be original. And that's what all these different directors were doing. And the studio had just put a date out there. They put that Alien 3 teaser trailer, which said that it was going to be on Earth before they even had a story and a script.
That's such a lame.
You watched that one?
Was
Yeah,
such a cash grab.
I saw that in the movie.
Anyone here ever seen 1970s Dillinger?
I've heard of it, but I can't remember anything about it.
Maybe I don't know. I'll have to. Yeah.
Look at that. Look at Ripley. She's wearing like a red shirt.
Yeah, I had that one.
No, what NECA did. These nice figures. Like, here, let me show you this.
Dillinger, 1973. You know what? No, I haven't seen this one. Thank you for the. Is it good? Thanks for the recommendation. If it is, I'll check it out. Bank robbery. Oh, dude, I love bank robbery. Heist movies are the shit, man. I know they're fucking. It's kind of a trope, but they're great. Oh yeah,
that's got.
Hold on, let me put you on full screen real quick. You got a little bit of a blur, dude. Pull it back just a smidge. There you go. Oh, and she's holding Newt. That's dope as fuck, man.
And she's got the pulse rifle and the flamethrower thrown together.
Fucking nice.
Yeah, man. That's what they did. NECA put out these kind of toys, but they made them dressed up like those 90s Kenner figures.
Oh, yeah.
They had them in Walmart for a while.
They
had a cone with a backwards baseball cap wearing an orange shirt that said no bugs and all that kind of stuff. And Ripley with the red shirt. They're
doing that like repurposed version of the old.
Yeah, like a retro,
not just Aliens, but a lot of them that are kind of that in that style of what can't talk. What they were originally
like nicer.
Space Marines, aliens.
See, we've seen that one. What else we got here?
Marines! All the firepower of Marine.
Fuck, I never had that.
When things get buggy, stick them with the stinger.
Yeah, they had a power loader.
Those vehicles are fucking. They're legit, and I didn't have any of those, but those are cool.
Aliens getting
you
you
tell
down.
They looked like they were going to make a cartoon out of that.
Aliens! Yo, Hicks! Something big is in the air!
It's the alien flying queen and her gruesome gorillas. Send in.
I didn't know the fucking queen could fly.
Yeah, in the Kenner toy land, all kinds of crazy shit happening.
Oh, dude, I love anything based period pieces from the Depression are fucking awesome, or Prohibition. I love that too. Boardwalk Empire. So I'll definitely give that a watch.
I've heard of it before.
I saw the Dillinger movie with who was it? Johnny Depp. That one was all right.
The ultimate space marine, Atax, disguised in his big bad
Atax, the ultimate space marine
bug suit.
He sneaks in and takes him out.
But the flying queen unmasks him. Send in Hicks and the heavily armored evac fighter.
Send in the Marine.
Okay, that evac fighter looks straight out of the fucking movie. That is solid. That's
it looks like something sort of like the dropship.
Yeah.
Blast them.
Yeah.
And bottle them. And it's bye-bye bug. Each sold separately.
Aliens. Aliens. No Hicks. One for dinner. No reservation.
It's the flying queen alien and her gruesome gorillas. Send in the ultimate space marine, Atax, in his big bad bug suit.
He sneaks in and takes him out.
And here comes Hicks in the heavily armored evac fighter. Black figure free. That's 2 aliens for the price of 1. Offer expires December 31st. See participating retailers for details because they're going fast.
Aliens. The battle is on. Aliens versus Predator, the hunter against the beast. An alien killer crab attacks, but the Predator crack tusk fires shoulder mount missiles, and Predator Scavenge attacks with a double-barreled bola, each sold separately. Will the Predator win the battle against the evil aliens? Aliens versus.
Now, I think these were marketed around the same time there was that Alien vs.
game.
Predator comic series and the video game going out. You're right.
Yeah, that beat 'em up video. There's that video game.
Dude, that arcade game.
It has the Predator
fire,
carrying
man.
a pulse rifle.
Yep.
It's a trip, man.
Yeah, you had like 3 different Predators to choose from, and then there were like 2. There was a Space Marine, and then this chick synth.
Yeah.
Who had like a sword and shit.
And they all fought.
They all had different abilities. So
it was like it was like a 4-person beat 'em up. I think it was like a
it was a
Konami game.
side scroller, kind of like
like
a lot of those
Turtles
X-Men.
In the X-Men
So it was
game.
a mix of a shooter and a side scroll beat 'em up.
Predator. Now get a special 2-pack with an exclusive Dark Horse comic.
La bestia más sanguinaria y el cazador más cruel se enfrentan en una lucha feroz con superlanzamisiles y voladoras de doble cañón y más. Vive el enfrentamiento Aliens contra Depredador, ahora en exclusivo 2-pack para doble emoción.
The dreaded beast versus the savage hunter. Aliens versus Predator with awesome new Predators. Clan leader attacks with whipping dreadlocks. And Stalker, glowing in the dark, fires his spear. Suddenly, flipping up his attack spikes the wild boar alien charges. And the ferocious mother alien in her monstrous hive traps Spiketail, then covers him in ooze.
Ooze 'em.
Who will survive? Aliens versus Predator. Queen Hive.
That's all so fucking good, man.
I know, right?
Dude, kids today, they don't know what they're missing.
Telling you, man, no arcade, no crazy toys.
Right? That was the thing, man. We played video games in our day too, but it was more of a social activity.
Yeah, arcades were
go
awesome.
to the fucking arcade, hang out with your friends or make friends at the arcade. And then you had your fucking toys and you'd go out in the fucking backyard or wherever, dig fucking holes, fucking lose all the pieces to your shit.
Man, arcades were awesome. Arcades were so cool.
Dude. I don't know where do fucking kids even take their first dates now? I don't even know. I mean,
I have no idea.
You don't have
what would be in a mall to go to?
It was the fucking arcade or it was the mall.
Yeah. The arcade was in the mall.
Yeah. A lot of time they were at the same place. Or you had one of those like arcade / amusement centers with like bowling, go-karts.
That's
cars,
cool. Yeah, they didn't have. I'm kind of in the sticks, so we didn't have that here. The mall had the arcade, but that was still dope. Arcades were awesome. That's
catch up with chats real quick. Man, this is Dino Riders days, dude. Dino Riders was the shit too. I didn't have any, but a lot of my friends did. I cry because this new generation will never see the awesome pulp culture like this. No, they won't. It is depressing. Again, it's like it's like tablets and fucking your mobile games and shit.
Yeah, and glued to a phone or something. Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. Walter had to believe we've gotten a good Predator and Alien film in the last 5 years. For the longest, it felt like we never got a good film for either one. Yeah, we finally got a good Alien. Now, can they resurrect Predator? We got to wait and see.
Well, I think a lot of people have said that Prey is good. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet either, but I've heard mixed, leaning toward positive. So I just haven't had a chance to. But they didn't do that movie any favors because I don't even think it was released in theaters. I think it went
to streaming. I heard though they have greenlit a sequel. I think it might be set during World War I. That was what I saw a poster
that would be cool.
for.
I want to fucking. Everybody's been talking about do one in feudal Japan. Let's have a samurai or a ninja or both go after a fucking predator. That would be
pretty cool, man. They
kind of Shogun, which is a great show if you haven't watched Shogun.
Yeah, I've got to check that out sometime, man. I know that was on my list for a bit, and I kind of forgot about it.
My favorite Predator game is the one Sturgis is currently streaming. Is he streaming one? By the way, Sturgis is the derogatory term for Renowned Zero, who's an awesome guy. You should all go sub to his channel, and especially if he is streaming a Predator game, I'll have to check that out.
I wonder if there was a newer one. I know a PC game or something. From
I don't know if you're fucking with me, dude, or if he's actually, if he is streaming a Predator game, I want to check it out.
Yeah, the Aliens versus Predator games were dope, man. That second one had the greatest multiplayer ever. You could start out, if they had life cycle, you could start out. You could either play Predator, Alien, or Marine. The Predator had different classes of Predator, and you could get like the Predator from Predator 2 that had that disc which would track people, and then it had like a spear gun and stuff. That was dope. The Alien, if you had life cycle, you could start out as a face hugger, jump onto somebody, come out as a chest burster, then you turn into a warrior, and if you kill 5 people without dying, you turn into a queen and could just run around and were basically invincible and just wiped out everybody for
Holy shit.
Oh, it was dope, man. It was crazy.
So the chat is all pretty positive. Everybody likes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that movie out, man.
I'm gonna have to watch it. First thing I have to do is make my wife watch Alien and Aliens, because she's seen them, but it was more like in passing, like hasn't actually sat down and invested. Now that she liked this one so much, I can actually get her to sit down and watch those. So
that tells you,
yes,
that right
Samurai
there
versus Predator, Brian.
That tells you right there, man, that this is definitely a good entry into the series, man, when you can get somebody to go back and watch the original 2 that hadn't seen it. So it's just, and you get the music with the effects and everything just pull you right into that universe. There was not, I was, as soon as it started, I was immediately in the Alien universe, man. It just, I was totally there. Fantastic.
Yeah,
so cool to see it in the movie theater. Like the last time we saw was Alien Covenant, and it just didn't feel like that. This did.
And it had that, it had that old movie feel, like, where a movie from back in the day could just fucking grab you with the music and the ambiance and everything right from the beginning. We don't really see that in a lot of modern films, and this one really did that, where it sucked you in, and it really did take you back in time. I know we've already talked about just the aesthetic, the music, and the way the attention to detail to make this cohesive with the first 2 films, and they did that so good. It takes you back into that fucking mindset and that place.
Yeah, it's an entire, it pulls you in for like, it's an experience with everything put together. It just pulls you into that universe, man. You got the music, the effects, just the whole vibe, man. It just sucks you right in. It's that whole combination of things is rare to get in a film these days. I mean, especially with all, but little to no CGI in there, which was so cool. That's why it looks so good. It's all like miniatures and everything. The ships just look fantastic.
You know what? I've heard, and here's another. I guess I have to give Prometheus and Covenant another try.
There's a lot of people that would really have liked to have seen the 3rd movie just to see what Ridley Scott wanted to do, just to complete that trilogy, or see where he was going with that. But because Covenant didn't do well in the movie theater, they kind of canceled that. And that's what, until this movie came out, the Alien franchise was kind of dead. And this breathed some new life into it. He broke out the defibrillator and boom, brought it right back. And I think it's got a good score on like Rotten Tomatoes and everything too. I want to say it's like 85%, and on the different scores. I know Mr. H, in one of his videos I watched in passing yesterday, and he went through the scores on all the different review sites, and they were all pretty good. The audience scores.
One of my favorite things to do while I'm at work, because I can't be too distracted, but working in complete silence is like just put you on edge. Right. What I like to do is I'll put on an old movie score. And I think this one is now going to be one of my fucking go-tos.
I'm definitely going to get this, because this guy, the score, I think he put out on, because I follow Fede Alvarez on X, and he was the guy who did the score, whose name is,
that's a great question,
Benjamin Wallfish, Wallfis.
Does he have anything else to his credit? like that we would know about? Let's see. Oh, another great modern score, Joker.
Oh, he did Joker?
No. I'm just saying that's another good one, man. And the chick that she should have got the Academy Award for that. Maybe she did, but I think it was nominated. So the score, let's see. Does he have anything to his credit? Benjamin Wolfich. Twisters. He's got that and Twisters. That's it. So he's a up and comer, and if I'm not fucking mistaken.
I've got his discography. I think it's
really, I didn't know that.
Blade Runner 2049. He did It, I think.
That's a good one. Okay, I can see that. It had a great score.
It's a good bit. It's a good. If you look on Wikipedia, it's got his discography. It's got several movies.
Okay.
Craven the Hunter.
Maybe the score will be good for that one.
The Flash, 13 Lives.
Otherwise, the movie's going to be It's Craven time. And
oh god,
you want to dude that rhino.
I kind of was not paying attention to that trailer. It came up and I was just kind of like, I don't know, but like it was funny. They had a trailer, I think, for the Mufasa movie, and I was sitting in the theater. I can't wait to not watch that. And another dude behind me goes, "That's what I'm talking about."
There was a cohesive groan in the theater when that trailer popped up. It's like we weren't the only ones. Like
that, and like they tried to make the Falcon movie try to look like it might be something, and I was just
I mean, on its face, if it weren't for the way they've marketed and done everything else with the MCU thus far, and I know this isn't the show for that, so I'm not going to try to get too much into it.
Oh yeah,
but
it was in the previews,
the trailer. It's like, and I mean, I like Harrison Ford. And one thing though, at Comic-Con, seeing fucking Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie high as fuck on stage, just not giving two shits about anything, was one of the.
And I like they asked Harrison Ford something, and he was just funny. Like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what that means. I don't care about this nerd crap.
Yeah, I'm just here for a fucking paycheck. Well, we're right at the 2-hour mark. I think we had a great fucking first show, first of many. This will be every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. PST. That is what time in Central?
7:30 Central.
7:30 Central. That'd be about 8:30 EST. Mountain time doesn't exist, gal, so we don't acknowledge that here. Mountain time. Fuck off with your.
Yeah, and I'm not. What even is Mountain time, man? I'm not even sure where that is, man. I know you guys are on the avocado time, and
moving forward, we're gonna probably, what do we got planned? We're gonna be talking about, if we don't have a recent movie review, we're gonna go back and like look at some old TV shows.
Yeah,
kind of do a deep dive into that. Highlander, fucking Battlestar Galactica. What else?
I'll have to rewatch Battlestar Galactica. I watched that and I kind of bulldozed through that series, but I watched it like it was for a couple of months. I was just sitting around watching Battlestar because I didn't see it when it came out. All my friends were talking about it and stuff, and it was just I went back and watched it. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, man.
Stray Beans, that's Brave New World or New World Order. They've changed the title and they pretty much reshot the whole movie like 7 fucking times.
Yeah,
but that's the one with Falcon Cap. And I mean, what are we discussing next week? We don't know yet.
Yeah, we're not entirely sure. We'll figure that out and try to put that out sometime on next.
Mm-hmm. And it won't always be just the two of us. Sometimes we'll have a guest, sometimes we won't. So
yeah,
but it's never going to turn into like a big panel show. That's
yeah. We're gonna do It's not going to be dependent on a guest, but we may have a guest on to talk about something cool that they're into and have like some in-depth knowledge on that maybe we don't.
Right. One of the things we got in mind is Dermy Wormy and doing a whole Gundam themed show. That will be a good time, especially since I'm a Gundam fan, but on a normie basis, like I'm very, very mediocre knowledge. So it'd be great to hear you guys just fucking spurg out on it.
I kind of was like looking for something to watch, and I went down the Gundam rabbit hole and tried to watch just everything on Universal Century. Then I did all this other stuff, so it was just like, and then I just started watching Gundam, and yeah.
No, Stray Beans. I mean the Falcon movie, because Falcon is the main character. Sam Wilson is Falcon. Just throwing that out there, bud. Captain America may be in the title, but I don't think he's in the actual movie.
Yeah, Steve Rogers is Captain America. You're not Steve Rogers. I love in the trailer. They're like, you're not Steve Rogers. Yeah.
This would be a good one to go into. Have you watched Twisted Metal yet?
Yes. Twisted Metal
show
is cool.
It's so stupid, but it works.
It was
in all the right ways.
Good though, man. It was like it was over the top stupid, but
stupid can be great.
Yeah,
bad special effects, campiness, stupid, everything about it. But man, it was so much fun to fucking watch. And Anthony
binged it, dude. Went straight through it, man. In like 2 days, binged it.
That was same here. We watched it in like less than 2 days, just start to finish. It was so fucking good.
Yeah, I couldn't stop. It was just ridiculous.
Kind of that comedic heroic role was he nailed it.
Yeah, he was great in what's that movie with Dwayne Johnson? Pain and Gain and Mark Wahlberg, where they playing the weightlifting.
You're always talking about that, so I need to watch it.
It's actually a Michael Bay movie, and it was
a true story.
Yeah, based on a true story. It was hilarious, man. I watched it, and at the end it said Michael Bay. I was like, Michael Bay did this. This might be his best movie.
We got the Dungeon Master himself, Full Metal Nate. What's going on, man? I cannot wait to get back into Straw. Did you ever play D&D as a kid?
No, but man, that's the thing. I would have if anybody had ever done that around here, man. But like I'm in rural Alabama, and I didn't. The only thing I knew of Dungeons and Dragons was the old school cartoon I used to watch every Saturday that I loved.
Dude, I think you go back and watch some of Nate's streams and see if it's something you could get into. It might be a little too nerdy for you.
I actually talked.
I know, man. I got working out to do. Fuck this shit.
No, man. I talked with Nate a couple of hours after some stuff, trying to like ask questions and stuff. I was all interested one night, and like he sat there and was trying to explain a bunch of stuff to me. And actually, what's cool is yesterday I saw a video that was on X that had John Bernthal and the chick that played that was in Daredevil that played the blonde hair, the Matt Murdock's partner in the law firm, and she is the dungeon master, and she was basically got John Bernthal to start playing. It's on X. I have to find the clip. It was cool. She just started asking a question or two, and basically they just started playing for a couple of minutes like a part of a Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like, that's a cool way to explain it. And they just got into it. I was like, that's pretty cool. It would have been dope though if somebody around here had played it.
I was always so fucked up. Either shrooms or fucking booze.
Yeah, man. I was like that for like that, man. That was college. It was
just kind of an excuse.
Yeah.
You want to play D&D? We're gonna get fucked up. Hell yeah. All right.
That was kind of like me whenever like we do. I remember like going fishing and playing spades, and I could never remember how to play spades, and I still don't think I did because I'd have to get really, really high, and then I remember how to play it while I was getting really, really, really high. And fishing, like the only thing I'd ever do was catch a buzz, man. We want to go fishing, which meant you want to go out on a boat and get drunk and high.
You sent a question, dude. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with the chat, man. I'm not Jack here. I'm doing the best I can. Hold on. Dude, repost your question because I can't find it. So I apologize.
Yeah, sorry, man. We'll start talking about Diesel. Something.
Diesel, it should have both of our chats here in StreamYard. Oh, privately. Well, okay, guys. let you guys have your moment. Well, we're 10 minutes overtime on the 2-hour 30 mark where we need to wrap it up. I got work in the morning. So thanks to everybody, man. This was actually, I expected such a smaller turnout and I wasn't expecting much, but this chat has been blowing up this whole time. Had a lot of fun. Thanks for listening to us just horribly explain the
and very spastically and jump aroundishly.
Right, that was the most horrible synopsis. I'm gonna go back and watch. Like, if anybody could actually follow us, just nerding out and rambling.
We go from one thing to the other. Yeah.
But next week, same time, same place on both of our channels. If you'd be so kind to, it doesn't matter where you watch us, mine or his, but please subscribe to both and leave a like, a comment, share it out if you know anybody that's into sci-fi. We are going to keep this thing fucking going. And anything you want to say closing us out there, Diesel?
Thank you so much for watching. This is I'm loving this. This is great. We get to talk about stuff that we really like and enjoy. We're gonna be it's gonna be positive. We might get a little
try our best to avoid the negativity.
Yeah. But mostly stuff that we can go off and nerd out and go autistic level into and kind of spaz out on. So thank you so much for actually hanging out and listening to our rambling, disjointed talk. Oh, thank you, Wade. Thank you, Wade. You're too kind, brother.
But thanks, everybody. I think we had a good time. I don't have an outro video, so I'm just going to close this out with the intro. We'll be a little more streamlined next week as the show and onward as the show develops. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see everybody again next week.
Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, guys.
I'm going to boomer it because I can't find my video. Oh, there it is. Bye, everybody.